After my husband and I moved in together, his parents demanded a spare key. We need to check in whenever we want, they said. My husband gave them the key without even asking me. I just smiled and waited. 1 week later, they let themselves in, only to find themselves locked inside with someone they never expected. When Adam and I moved into our new home in Austin, Texas, I thought it was the beginning of something great. We'd been married for almost a year, and this was supposed to be our fresh start. A cozy 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood. Maybe a place to start a family. Then came his parents. George and Marcia were always too much, controlling and pushy. While we were dating, I noticed things. His mom would call 5 times a day about vitamins. His dad would check in during our date nights. I figured once we were married, they'd back off. I was wrong. The day after we moved in, they showed up without warning. No call, no invitation, just pulled into the driveway like they owned the place. Marcia pushed past me into the house, acting like a picky hotel guest. She handed me cheap wine and George had a printed list of home care tips, as if we were clueless. Then she sat on our couch and said, "So, when do we get our spare key?" I blinked. "Sorry, what?" George laughed like it was obvious. "Of course we need a key." "For emergencies," Marcia added, "or just to check in. Water the plants. Make sure everything's clean." I looked at Adam, expecting him to shut them down. Instead, he said, "Yeah, that makes sense," and handed them a key. I wanted to scream, but I forced a smile. "Of course," I said. "You're right." That's when I started planning. For a week, I acted like the perfect daughter-in-law. I thanked them, joked about how helpful it would be, even told them to stop by any time. But every moment I wasn't smiling at them, I was setting a trap. Step 1. I added a second lock to the door that could only be opened from the inside. Step 2. I installed a motion-activated camera in the living room. Step 3. I called my Uncle Mike. Then I waited. Exactly 1 week later, my phone buzzed. Motion detected in the living room. I opened the app and saw them, George and Marcia, walking around our house. George was snooping through the kitchen drawers. Marcia was straightening the living room. Then she started folding my laundry. Then they tried to leave, and found the door wouldn't open. I watched as George tugged at the door. Then he noticed the extra lock. His face turned red. Then the basement door opened, and in walked Uncle Mike. Uncle Mike is tall, bearded, tattooed, and a bit scary looking. He used to be in a biker gang but now owns a tattoo shop. He still looks intimidating. He walked into the room and said, "Well, well, well. What do we have here?" George froze. Marcia screamed. "What are you doing in our house?" George yelled. Mike raised an eyebrow. "Your house." "You're trespassing," Marcia shouted. Mike laughed and pulled out keys. "Funny, I live here." That's right. I had legally rented the house to Uncle Mike for the week. Paperwork and all. They had just broken into someone else's legal residence. George turned red. Marcia looked ready to faint. Mike calmly leaned against the wall. "You know what's ridiculous? Walking into someone else's house without permission." George grabbed his phone. "Call Adam." That's when my phone rang. It was Adam. "What's going on?" he asked, panicked. I smiled. "I don't know. Maybe ask your parents. They say there's some guy in the house claiming he lives there." "Not some guy. Uncle Mike." Silence. Then, "I'm coming home." When I walked in, the tension was thick. Marcia sat on the couch, arms crossed. George was fuming. Mike sipped water in the kitchen like nothing happened. "Hey babe," I said cheerfully. "What's going on?" George shoved the lease at me. "This is crap." I shrugged. "Funny, the landlord didn't think so." Marcia snapped. "You think this is cute? This game of yours? You've gone too far." I folded my arms. "Too far? Like walking into my house without permission." George yelled, "We have a key." Mike snorted. "Yeah, and how's that working for you?" Adam finally arrived. One look at the room and he sighed. "Jesus Christ." Marcia grabbed him. "Did you know about this?" He hesitated. "You did," she whispered. "You let her do this." He rubbed his face. "Mom." George lost it. "Give us the key back. Now." I shook my head. "No. We're family. We have a right to be here." I laughed. "No, you don't. You don't live here. You don't pay for this house. You have no right." George stepped forward. You're making a big mistake. Mike laughed. I'd love to see how this ends. George yelled at him. Mike smiled wider. Marcia tugged George's arm. Let's go. But George wouldn't budge. You'll regret this, he said to me. I looked him in the eye. No, George, you will. That night, Adam and I sat in silence. So, he said, they're going to hate you forever now. Probably. I screwed up, huh? You gave them a key without asking me. He sighed. Yeah, I get it now. I messed up. Good. We changed the locks the next day, and for a while we didn't hear a thing from them. Then, on Friday morning, I got a call from our landlord, and as soon as I picked up, I could tell something was wrong from the tone of his voice. Hey, he said. I just got a weird call from people who say they're your in-laws. My heart sank. They were asking about your lease, he went on. They were trying to get information. I sat up. What kind of information? They wanted to know if it was possible to end your lease early, he said. Actually, they asked if I'd be willing to evict you. They even offered to pay off the rest of the lease if I let them rent the place instead. I gripped my phone so hard it hurt. I knew George and Marcia could be pushy, but this was too much. Luckily, our landlord wasn't falling for it. He told them no and laughed them off. But the fact that they tried to get us kicked out of our own home, that crossed a major line. I didn't tell Adam right away, not to hide it, but because I knew he wouldn't react the way this situation needed. His parents had always had a hold over him. He was starting to see the truth about them, but I wasn't sure he was ready to fight back yet. So I decided to handle it myself. I drove straight to George and Marcia's house. Marcia opened the door and looked surprised to see me. Oh, she said with a fake smile. We weren't expecting you. Yeah, I figured, I said. Can I come in? She hesitated, then let me inside. George was lounging in the living room with a beer. He barely looked up. What do you want? He mumbled. I sat down, calm and serious. I know what you did. Marcia stiffened. What are you talking about? I looked directly at George. You tried to get us evicted. That made him sit up and put his beer down. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. I picked up my phone. Should I call the landlord and put him on speaker? They went quiet. George smirked. Let's say we did. George, Marcia gasped. She's not dumb, he told her. She already knows. I felt a cold anger take over. So the plan was to kick us out, take the house, and then what? Keep Adam close so you could control him forever. Marcia looked offended. We just wanted to be near our son. I laughed. You wanted control, and you didn't care who you hurt to get it. George scowled. You're being dramatic. I stood up. I was done. If you ever try something like this again, I said quietly, you'll regret it. Marcia went pale. Is that a threat? I smiled. Marcia, I haven't even started. Then I walked out. I hoped that would be the end of it. I was wrong. A few days later, strange things started happening. Missing packages, tipped over trash cans. Small things. But then, one night while Adam and I were watching TV, we heard a loud scraping sound outside. Adam muted the TV. Did you hear that? I nodded. We both went to the door. Adam looked through the peephole and froze. What is it? I asked. His voice was cold. My dad is outside. I looked too. George was on our porch, holding a key. But we had changed the locks. He tried the key. It didn't work. Then he banged on the door. Open the damn door, he shouted. We didn't move. He pounded again. I know you're in there. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Adam looked stunned, like he couldn't believe this was really happening. George, I said through the door, you need to leave. This is my son's house, he yelled. I have a right to be here. No, I said firmly, you don't. Suddenly, Marcia's voice came from the side of the house. Adam, honey, just open the door so we can talk. Adam was shaking. Then he said, Dad, you need to go. George hit the door hard. You're making a huge mistake. Then the backyard lights turned on. I looked and saw a shadow moving near the fence. I didn't wait. I called the police. While George kept yelling, the red and blue lights flashed outside. When the cops arrived, I stepped outside with my phone still recording. George saw the officers and quickly changed his tone. This is just a misunderstanding, he said. This is my son's house. We were just trying to talk. An officer turned to Adam. Do you know these people? Adam hesitated, then finally said, They're my parents, and they're trespassing. Marcia gasped. George's face fell. Adam had just chosen me over them. Adam stood tall. They don't live here. They don't have a key anymore. They need to leave. One cop nodded. Sir, I'm going to ask you both to leave the property. George looked like he might explode, but he didn't fight it. He just looked at Adam with a cold, bitter smile. You think you're making the right choice, he said. Adam didn't respond. George stepped closer and said, One day, you'll wake up and realize she took everything from you. But Adam didn't flinch, and in that moment I knew we had finally drawn the line. The sharp pain hit my chest. Marcia was crying, shaking her head, not able to believe what was happening. Adam, please don't let her do this to us, she begged. But Adam's face was hard as stone. She didn't do anything, he said. You did. That was the moment George lost it. His hands shook, and his face turned red with anger. You're not my son, he yelled. Then he turned and walked away. Marcia hesitated for a second, but then she ran after him, crying. They didn't look back. The cops waited until they were out of the neighborhood before they turned to us. Do you want to press charges? One of them asked. Adam shook his head. After they left, the house was silent. Adam sat on the couch, staring at the floor like the world was weighing him down. I sat beside him, not touching, not speaking, just waiting. After a long time, he sighed deeply. They hate me now. I swallowed hard. Maybe. He shook his head. No, they do. My dad. He meant it. I didn't lie to him. Yeah, he did. Adam's hands tightened into fists, and he breathed shakily. I don't know how to feel. I reached for him, and he didn't pull away. I know, I whispered. After a pause, he quietly said, I think I always knew this was coming. I didn't say anything because deep down, I think I knew too. Days went by with no calls or messages from them. Nothing. Then one morning, Adam checked his email. He froze and went pale. What's wrong? I asked, moving behind him. He didn't speak. He turned the screen toward me. It was an email from a lawyer with big letters at the top. Cease and desist order from George and Marcia. They want us to stop alienating them from their son. Adam read out loud, his voice flat. They want us to go back to normal communication. I was stunned. They're trying to make you talk to them legally? Adam let out a short, bitter laugh. Yeah, looks like it. I felt sick. They had treated him like their property for years, and now that he was finally breaking free, they were trying anything to bring him back. Adam sat back in his chair, staring at the screen. Then he closed his laptop and smiled. They're desperate, he said softly. I tilted my head. Yeah? He nodded. Yeah. For the first time in weeks, he reached for my hand. And in that moment, I knew we had won. We sent one last email, a single sentence. Do not contact us again. Then we blocked them everywhere. They tried. Oh, they tried. Fake numbers. Anonymous emails. Even a Christmas card accidentally sent to the wrong address. But we didn't respond. Slowly, they faded from our lives. It took Adam a long time to process everything. Some days were tough. Sometimes I could see the guilt creeping in. Doubt, the old instinct to obey. But one night, as we sat on the porch, looking at our quiet street, he turned to me and said, I feel free. I squeezed his hand. You are. He smiled and said, So, can we invite Uncle Mike over? I think he deserves a beer. I laughed, and for the first time in a long time, we were okay. Some people say family is forever. But the truth? Real family doesn't tie you down. Real family doesn't make you feel like you owe them everything. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away.
The day I finally saved enough for my parents' dream vacation was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the moment I realized just how invisible I truly was. I'm Phoebe, and I've spent the last 3 years working overtime and weekends, squirreling away every spare dollar I could manage. My parents had always talked about wanting to visit the Greek islands, especially Santorini. Those whitewashed buildings against the blue Mediterranean had been my mom's phone background for as long as I can remember. You won't believe what I've done! I burst into their house, clutching the envelope containing the vacation documents. My brother Rylan was there too, sprawled on the couch like he owned the place. Of course he was. He always seemed to be around for every important moment, whether invited or not. "What's got you so excited, sweetheart?" Mom asked, though her eyes kept darting to Rylan as he texted on his phone. I've been saving up for something special," I said, my heart racing. "Remember all those conversations about Greece?" Dad looked up from his newspaper. "Greece?" I pulled out the documents with trembling hands. 2 weeks in Santorini, 5-star hotel, private balcony with a sunset view, wine tasting tours, everything you've ever dreamed about. Mom's eyes widened as she took the papers. "Oh my goodness," she whispered, flipping through them. "This must have cost a fortune." "It did," I admitted, "but you deserve it. You've both worked so hard all your lives, and I wanted to give you something special." That's when Rylan finally looked up from his phone. "Wow, sis. That's actually pretty cool of you." Coming from him, it felt like a backhanded compliment, but I pushed the feeling aside. This was my moment. "The thing is," Mom said slowly, exchanging glances with Dad, "we were just talking about Rylan and Serena's 5th anniversary coming up." My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. "They've been having such a rough time lately," Dad chimed in, "with the miscarriage and all." "What are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. Mom reached across and patted my hand. "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we gave this trip to them instead? They really need something to look forward to right now." The room started spinning. 3 years of overtime shifts, missed social events, and penny pinching flashed before my eyes. "But," I struggled to find words. "I planned this for you. I saved up." "And that's so thoughtful of you, honey," Mom interrupted. "But Rylan and Serena could really use this right now. You understand, don't you?" I looked at Rylan, who was now sitting up straight, a familiar gleam in his eyes. The same look he had when we were kids, and my parents would give him my toys because he needed them more. "Seriously?" Serena's voice squealed from behind me. I hadn't even noticed her come in. "Oh my God, this is amazing!" She rushed past me to hug my mother, then my father. The vacation documents were already being passed to her eager hands. "We can't accept this," Rylan said, but his tone made it clear he absolutely could and would. "It's too much." "Nonsense!" Dad waved him off. "You kids deserve it. Phoebe understands, don't you, sweetheart?" I stood there, frozen, as my carefully planned surprise was stripped away and handed to my brother like everything else in my life. The worst part wasn't even losing the vacation. It was the fact that none of them seemed to notice or care how much this hurt me. "Of course," I heard myself say, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "Of course I understand." "You're the best sister ever." Serena hugged me tight, her expensive perfume choking me. "We'll send you lots of pictures." I watched as my family gathered around Rylan and Serena, oohing and aahing over the itinerary I'd spent months perfecting. Mom was already talking about helping Serena shop for new swimsuits, while Dad discussed the best times to book their flights. I slipped out without anyone noticing, just like I always did. But this time was different. This time, something inside me snapped. As I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, I made a decision. For once in my life, I wasn't going to just smile and take it. For once, someone was going to notice me, and if they wouldn't give me the respect I deserved, I would take it. I pulled out my phone and opened the airline's website. It was time to make some changes to that perfect vacation I'd planned. "They did what?" Alexis slammed her coffee mug down so hard that several nearby customers at the cafe turned to stare. "Are you kidding me right now?" I shook my head, fighting back tears that had been threatening to spill since yesterday. "Just handed it over like it was nothing. 3 years of saving, Alex. 3 years. And they didn't even ask you first? Just decided on their own to give your brother and his wife your gift?" Alexis's face was turning red with anger. The same brother who just bought a new BMW last month? Apparently their marriage needs a boost after... I lowered my voice. "You know, the miscarriage." "Oh, please!" Alexis rolled her eyes. "I know that's terrible, but it doesn't give them the right to take what's yours. Besides, didn't Serena post those party pictures like 2 weeks ago? They seemed fine to me. I stirred my untouched latte, watching the foam swirl. Mom called this morning to ask if I could help Serena shop for vacation clothes. The audacity! Alexis leaned forward. Please tell me you said no. I told her I had to work. I managed a weak smile. Which isn't exactly a lie, since I need to start saving again. Saving? Oh, hell no, you're not doing that again. Alexis pulled out her phone. Look at this. Your brother posted about it already. She showed me Ryland's Instagram post. A picture of the vacation documents spread out on a table, with the caption, Best Anniversary Surprise Ever. Blessed, to Santorini. Best family ever. My hands started shaking. He didn't even mention me. Of course he didn't. Alexis took her phone back. You know what? You should cancel it. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Cancel the whole thing. It's your reservation, your credit card, your name on everything. One phone call and poof, no more vacation. I can't do that, I protested. But even as I said it, something stirred inside me. Can I? Why not? They didn't think twice about taking it from you. Alexis leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Think about it. They're all excited, planning and shopping, and then suddenly, nothing. Let them feel what it's like to have something taken away. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. Serena found the cutest sundress for Greece. You should come see it. I turned my phone face down on the table. They'd know it was me. Not if you do it right. Alexis's eyes sparkled with mischief. You're smart, Phoebe. You could figure out a way. It would destroy them, I said. But I was already thinking about how to do it. Like they destroyed you? Come on, tell me you haven't thought about it. I had. God help me, I'd thought about it all night. Remember your college graduation? Alexis pressed on. When they left early because Rylan had a football game? They missed my valedictorian speech, I whispered. And your art show last year? They stayed for 10 minutes because Rylan's in-laws were having a dinner party. And now this. Alexis reached across the table and grabbed my hand. When does it stop, Phoebe? When do you stop letting them treat you like you don't matter? My phone buzzed again. This time it was Rylan. Hey sis, can you send me the confirmation numbers for everything? Want to add some extras to the reservation. Something inside me hardened. You're right, I said, standing up. I need to make a phone call. Wait, really? Alexis's eyes widened. You're going to do it? I grabbed my purse, my hands steady for the first time since yesterday. The reservation's in my name, the payment's on my card. They can't do anything without my authorization. That's my girl! Alexis grinned. What are you going to tell them? Nothing. I felt a smile spreading across my face. They'll find out when they try to check in, just like I found out about them taking my gift, without warning. You know this is going to cause drama, right? I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my hurt, all the times I'd stepped aside for Rylan, all the years of being invisible. Maybe it's time for some drama, I said, pulling out my phone. Maybe it's time they realized I'm not just their backup daughter anymore. As I walked out of the cafe, I could feel Alexis watching me with a mixture of pride and concern. My fingers were already dialing the airline's customer service number. Hello, I said when someone answered. I need to make some changes to a reservation. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the good sister who sacrificed everything for everyone else. This time, I was going to be the sister who fought back. Thank you for calling Paradise Travel. This is Destiny. How may I assist you today? I gripped my phone tighter, pacing around my apartment. Hi, I need to cancel a reservation for Santorini. Of course, I can help you with that. May I have the booking reference number? I rattled off the number, my heart pounding. This was it, no turning back. Though, I see the reservation, Destiny said. 2 weeks in Santorini, departing next month. Before we proceed, may I ask why you're canceling? We might be able to offer alternatives. The trip was compromised, I said carefully. I'd rather just cancel it completely. I understand. There was something in Destiny's voice, a hint of sympathy that made me wonder if she really did understand. Since you purchased our premium package with cancellation insurance, you'll receive a full refund. However, I should mention that once canceled, this specific package and pricing won't be available again due to seasonal changes. Perfect. Even if they tried to rebook, it would cost them significantly more. That's fine, I said. I just need it canceled. One moment while I process that for you. The sound of typing filled the pause. Ms. Franklin, I noticed there were some recent attempts to modify this booking. Would you like me to disregard those? My brother's extras, no doubt. Yes, please. More typing. All right, I've processed the cancellation. You should receive a confirmation email shortly, and the refund will appear on your card within 5 to 7 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with? Actually, yes. I took a deep breath. If anyone calls about this reservation, you can't discuss it with them, right? Since it's in my name? That's correct. Due to privacy policies, we can only discuss booking details with the person who made the reservation. Good. Thank you, Destiny. You've been very helpful. I hung up and immediately checked my email. There it was. The cancellation confirmation. I forwarded it to a new email account I'd created just for this purpose, then deleted it from my regular inbox. My phone buzzed with a text from Rylan. Hey, tried calling the travel agency, but they won't talk to me. What's up with that? I smiled as I typed back. Weird. Maybe try calling during business hours tomorrow? Another text came in, this time from Mom. Darling, Serena's trying to add a sunset cruise to the itinerary, but having trouble. Can you help? Sorry, in a meeting. We'll check later, I replied. I opened my laptop and logged into the new email account. Time for Phase 2. I drafted a message. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Franklin, we regret to inform you that your upcoming reservation has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Please do not attempt to contact our agency as this decision is final. Best regards, Paradise Travel Customer Service. I set it to send automatically 3 days before their departure date. Just long enough to maximize the chaos, just late enough that booking an alternative would be nearly impossible. My phone rang. Alexis. Did you do it? She asked without preamble. It's done. I sat down on my couch, suddenly exhausted. The reservation is canceled, and I've set up an anonymous email to let them know, eventually. How do you feel? I considered the question. Powerful, scared, excited, guilty. All of the above? The guilt will pass, Alexis assured me. Remember how they didn't feel guilty taking it from you? True. I watched the sunset through my window, thinking about the Santorini sunset they wouldn't be seeing. They're already having trouble with the booking. Keeps asking me to help. And you're going to... Play dumb. Tell them I'm busy. Let them figure it out themselves. That's my girl. Alexis paused. You know, you could take that refund and book yourself a nice trip somewhere. I laughed. Maybe I will. Somewhere they'd never think to go. Now you're talking. Speaking of talking, your mom just posted about helping Serena pack. Want to see? Not really, I said, but I was already opening Instagram. There they were, Mom and Serena, surrounded by expensive luggage and summer dresses, huge smiles on their faces. The caption read, "Getting my beautiful daughter-in-law ready for her dream vacation. Blessed to your family first." I closed the app, a cold satisfaction settling over me. Let them plan, let them pack, let them get excited. In 3 days, they'd learn what it felt like to have something precious taken away without warning or consideration. I picked up my phone and started researching flights to Japan. Maybe it was time for my own dream vacation, one that no one could take away from me. Look what just arrived, Serena squealed, holding up a wide-brimmed sun hat at our mandatory weekly family dinner. It's perfect for those Santorini sunsets, don't you think? I stabbed at my meatloaf, forcing a smile. Beautiful. And check out these sandals, she continued, pulling a box from her oversized designer bag. They're handmade in Italy. Rylan surprised me with them yesterday. Mom beamed at my brother. You're so thoughtful, honey. I took a long sip of wine, remembering the cancellation confirmation sitting in my secret email account. 3 more days until the automated message would go out. Speaking of thoughtful, Rylan said, Phoebe, we still can't add anything to the booking. Keep getting shut down by customer service. What's up with that? All eyes turned to me. I carefully set down my wine glass. Oh, right. Sorry, I've been swamped at work. I'll look into it tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late, Serena pouted. We really want to book that sunset cruise before it fills up. I'm sure it'll be fine, I said, serving myself more green beans. Everything will work out exactly as it should. Dad cleared his throat. You know, Princess, you seem a bit distant about all this. Are you sure you're okay with us giving the trip to your brother? For a moment, I almost told them everything. Almost. Of course I am, I lied smoothly. Why wouldn't I be? See? Mom patted Dad's hand. I told you she understands. Our Phoebe always puts family first. Rylan raised his glass. To the best sister anyone could ask for. Everyone clinked glasses while I fought the urge to throw mine across the room. Instead, I pulled out my phone under the table and logged into my anonymous email. Has everyone seen the weather forecast for Santorini? I asked innocently, typing as I spoke. It's supposed to be perfect next week. Oh, thank goodness, Serena sighed. I was worried about that. I hit send on the email. Dear valued customer, this is a courtesy notice that there may be issues with your upcoming travel arrangements. Please verify your booking status immediately. Rylan's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, frowning at the screen. That's weird. What is it? Serena leaned over his shoulder. Some random email about our booking. He showed it to Mom. Probably just spam. Better safe than sorry, I suggested. Maybe you should call the agency again. They won't talk to anyone but you, he reminded me. Come on, sis. Can't you just handle it? I shrugged. I'll try to find time tomorrow. You know, Mom said, you could give them your login details. Make it easier for everyone. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea, I said quickly. Security concerns and all that. Serena pulled out her phone, scrolling through pictures. Look at this villa I found on Instagram. We have to visit it while we're there. As they all huddled around her phone, oohing and aahing over Mediterranean views, I sent another anonymous email. Warning, your travel booking may have been compromised. Immediate attention required. Rylan's phone buzzed again. This time, he looked worried. Okay, this is getting weird. Phoebe, seriously, can you please check the reservation tonight? My internet's been down, I said, waiting for the company to fix it. Use your phone, Serena suggested. Battery's almost dead. I held up my phone, showing the 89% battery level carefully hidden by my hand. And I forgot my charger. You can use mine, Mom started. Oh, I interrupted, looking at my phone. Would you look at that time? I have an early meeting tomorrow. Should really get going. I stood up, gathering my things while they protested. But we haven't had dessert, Mom said. I made your favorite chocolate cake. Rain check? I kissed her cheek. Save me a piece. As I headed for the door, Rylan called out, Don't forget to check the reservation first thing tomorrow? First thing, I promised, knowing I'd have a million excuses ready. In my car, I sent one final email. Urgent. Please contact your travel agent immediately regarding booking status. My phone lit up with a text from Rylan. Seriously freaking out about these emails. Call me when you get home. I typed back. Phone dying for real now. Talk tomorrow. Turning off my phone, I drove home with a smile on my face. 2 more days of watching them squirm, watching their excitement slowly turn to anxiety. Then the final blow would come. Maybe it was cruel. Maybe it made me a terrible person. But as I remembered Serena's smug face showing off her new hat, Mom's constant doting on Rylan, and Dad's blind acceptance of it all, I couldn't bring myself to feel bad. Sometimes karma needed a little help, and I was more than happy to assist. My phone exploded with notifications at exactly 9:47 a.m. The automated email had gone out right on schedule. First came Ryland's call, then Mom's, then Serena's, then Dad's, then a flood of texts, each more frantic than the last. I let them all go to voicemail, watching the notifications pile up with a strange sense of calm. "What do you mean, canceled?" Ryland's text screamed. "Phoebe, please call immediately! Emergency!" From Mom. "This has to be a mistake. Call us now." Dad. I waited exactly 30 minutes before calling Mom back. "Phoebe," she answered on the first ring. "Thank God. The trip, they're saying..." "Mom, slow down. What's wrong?" "The vacation. It's been canceled. We just got an email saying everything's canceled." Her voice cracked. "Ryland and Serena are supposed to leave tomorrow?" I gasped, making sure my shock sounded genuine. "What? That can't be right. Let me check." "We've been trying to call the agency, but they won't talk to us. They keep saying they can only discuss it with the booking holder." "I'll call them right now," I promised. "Let me sort this out." I hung up and waited 15 minutes before calling back. "I can't get through," I lied. "Their lines are busy. I'll keep trying." The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Rylan and Serena standing there, both still in their pajamas. "Did you reach anyone?" Serena's eyes were red from crying. "Please tell me you fixed it." I stepped aside to let them in. "I'm trying, but..." "Trying isn't good enough," Rylan snapped. "We're supposed to leave tomorrow. All our plans, the time off work, everything." "I understand, but..." "Do you?" He advanced on me. "Do you understand that this was supposed to be our special trip? After everything we've been through?" The front door opened again, Mom and Dad rushing in. "Any news?" Dad demanded. I shook my head. "The lines are still..." "Oh, for heaven's sake!" Mom grabbed my phone. "What's the number? I'll try from your phone since you're the booking holder." "Mom, wait!" She was already dialing. We all watched as she put it on speaker. "Thank you for calling Paradise Travel. This is Destiny. How may I assist you?" My stomach dropped. The same agent from before. "Yes, hello," Mom said. "I'm calling about a canceled reservation for Santorini. I'll need the booking reference number and the name of the booking holder." Mom looked at me expectantly. I rattled off the numbers. "The booking holder is Phoebe Franklin," Mom added. "I'm sorry," Destiny said, "but I can only discuss booking details with Ms. Franklin directly." "I'm her mother." "Nevertheless." "Fine." Mom thrust the phone at me. "Tell her who you are." I took the phone, my hands shaking. "This is Phoebe Franklin." "Hello, Ms. Franklin." "Yes, I see the reservation was canceled 3 days ago at your request. As discussed during our call, the refund should be processed." "What?" Rylan roared. I dropped the phone. "3 days ago?" Serena whispered. You canceled it?" The room went deadly quiet. "Phoebe!" Dad's voice was dangerously low. "What did you do?" I straightened my spine. "The same thing you did to me. I took something away without asking." "Are you insane?" Rylan grabbed my shoulders. "Do you know how much we've spent on preparations? The time off work? The new clothes? Do you know how much I spent on the actual trip?" I shot back, shrugging off his hands. 3 years of savings, 3 years of my life, and you all took it without even asking me." "We thought you were okay with it," Mom cried. "When did you ask? When did any of you actually ask how I felt?" "This is crazy," Serena sobbed. "We can't just book another trip last minute." "Funny," I said. "That's exactly how I felt when you took mine." "You selfish little..." Rylan started toward me again, but Dad held him back. "Fix this," Mom demanded. "Call them back right now and fix this." I picked up my phone from where I'd dropped it. "No. No? No. For once in my life, I'm not fixing things to make everyone else happy. For once, you all get to feel what it's like to have something taken away without your consent." "I can't believe you're my sister," Rylan spat. "My own sister did this to us." I looked him straight in the eye. "Believe it. And remember this feeling the next time you think about taking something that belongs to someone else." They all started talking at once. yelling, crying, demanding. But for the first time in my life, their voices couldn't touch me. I walked to my front door and held it open. "I think you should all leave now." "This isn't over," Rylan warned as they filed out. "You're right," I agreed. "It's just beginning." "You should see my phone," I told Alexis as we sat in her backyard, a bottle of wine between us. 47 missed calls, 93 text messages, and those are just from today. "Have you read any of them?" I scrolled through my phone. "Let's see. How could you do this to your own family?" That's from Mom. "You're dead to me." That's Rylan. Oh, and my personal favorite from Serena. "I hope you're happy now that you've ruined everything." "Ruined everything?" Alexis snorted. "They ruined your gift first." My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. I declined the call. "They're all at my parents' house right now," I said. "Probably plotting their revenge. What could they possibly do? You didn't do anything illegal. The trip was in your name, paid for with your money." I poured more wine. "Rylan's already trying to turn the extended family against me. My cousin called earlier to tell me how disappointed she is in my childish behavior." "Childish?" Alexis sat up straighter. "You know what's childish? A grown man letting his parents take his sister's gift without even offering to pay for it." My phone lit up with a text from Mom. "We need to talk. Your father and I are very disappointed in you." "They're disappointed in me?" I laughed bitterly. "That's rich. Where was their disappointment when they took my gift without asking?" "You should tell them that." "I did. They're not listening. They keep saying I agreed to give them the trip." "Did you, though?" Alexis raised an eyebrow. "Actually agree?" I thought back to that day. They didn't really give me a choice. They just decided, like they always do. "Then maybe it's time to show them the proof." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" "The messages, the emails. Show them how they steamrolled over you. Make them see what they did." My phone buzzed again. A group text from Mom. "Family meeting, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Be there." "They want to have a family meeting," I told Alexis. "Ah, perfect." She grinned. "That's your chance. Bring receipts. Show them everything." "I don't know." "Phoebe." Alexis grabbed my hands. "Listen to me. They're angry because for the first time in your life, you stood up to them. They're used to you being the good daughter who takes whatever they dish out. This is your chance to show them why you did what you did." My phone chimed with another message. This time from Rylan. "Hope you're proud of yourself. Serena's been crying all day. Look at this." I showed Alexis the message. "He's trying to guilt trip me." "Of course he is. That's what they do. But you have something they don't." "What's that?" "The truth." She squeezed my hands. "You have proof of everything. The savings statements showing how long you saved. The original booking emails. The way they just took it without asking. Show them." I stared at my phone, at the dozens of angry messages. "You really think it'll make a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But at least they'll know exactly why you did it. No more playing the victim. No more pretending they didn't do anything wrong." Another text from Mom. "Will you be at the meeting tomorrow?" I took a deep breath and typed, "Yes, and I'm bringing evidence of exactly why this happened." The response was immediate. "Evidence? What evidence?" "You'll see tomorrow," I replied, then turned off my phone. "There's my girl!" Alexis cheered. "Now let's prepare. We need to get everything organized." We spent the next few hours gathering everything. Bank statements showing my savings pattern over 3 years, screenshots of their social media posts taking credit for the trip, the original emails about the booking, and most damning of all, their messages assuming I'd just handed over. "This is good," Alexis said, reviewing everything. "They can't argue with this." "They'll try," I said, but I felt stronger now, more certain. "Let them try. The truth is right here in black and white." My hand hovered over my turned-off phone. "They're probably still messaging me." "Let them. Tomorrow they'll understand exactly what they did. And if they don't," Alexis shrugged, "at least you'll know you stood up for yourself." I looked at the stack of evidence we'd collected. You know what? For the first time, I actually feel good about what I did. You should. You're not their doormat anymore. I raised my wine glass. To standing up for myself. To karma. Alexis clinked her glass against mine. And to finally showing your family who you really are. Tomorrow would be hard. There would be tears, accusations, guilt trips. But for once, I was ready for them. For once, I had proof of exactly why I'd done what I'd done, and this time, they were going to listen. I walked into my parents' house exactly at 6 p.m., folder of evidence clutched to my chest like armor. They were all already there, sitting around the dining room table like a jury ready to deliver a verdict. "Sit down, Phoebe," Dad said, pointing to the empty chair facing everyone. I remained standing. "Before we start, I have something to show you all." "We don't need to see anything," Rylan interrupted. "We need you to fix this. Actually, you do need to see this." I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. This is my bank statement from 3 years ago, when I started saving for the trip. Mom tried to speak, but I held up my hand. "No. You've all had your say. Now it's my turn." I laid out more papers. Every month, I put aside money, worked overtime, skipped vacations, all to give you and Dad your dream trip. "We know all this," Serena said impatiently. "Do you? Do you know I was working 60-hour weeks while you were posting pictures from your spa weekends?" I slid her Instagram posts across the table. "Or that I canceled my own vacation plans last year to save more money while Relene was buying his new BMW? Relene shifted uncomfortably. "That's not relevant." "It is relevant." I slammed my hand on the table. "Because when I finally had enough saved, when I finally planned the perfect trip, you all took it without even asking me." "We didn't take it," Mom protested. "You agreed." I pulled out my phone and played the recording from that day. Their voices filled the room. "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we gave this trip to them instead?" "You understand, don't you?" Of course she understands. Where in that conversation did anyone ask what I wanted? I stopped the recording. Where did anyone consider my feelings? The room fell silent. "And then," I continued, pulling out more papers, "you all acted like it was your gift to give. Look at these posts, taking credit, not even mentioning me, acting like I didn't exist." Dad cleared his throat. "Sweetheart, we appreciate all your hard work, but..." "But what? But Rylan needed it more? He always needs it more." My voice cracked. "My whole life, everything I've done, everything I've achieved, it's always been overshadowed by what Rylan needs." "That's not true," Mom said weakly. "Really?" I pulled out more evidence. "My college graduation, you left early for his football game. My art show, you stayed 10 minutes because his in-laws were having dinner. Every single time he comes first." Rylan stood up. "This is ridiculous. You're acting like a child." "No!" I matched his stance. "I'm finally acting like someone who's had enough. You want to know why I canceled the trip? Because for once in my life, I wanted you all to know how it feels to have something taken away without your consent." "But the money," Serena started. "The money," I laughed. "Now you care about the money? Where was this concern when you took my gift? Did any of you offer to reimburse me?" They exchanged guilty looks. "That's what I thought." I gathered my evidence back into the folder. "You know what the worst part is? None of you even apologized. You just expected me to smile and take it, like always." "So what do you want?" Rylan demanded. "An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. Now can you rebook the trip?" "No." I shook my head. "The refund's already been processed. To my account. And you know what? I'm going to use it to take myself somewhere nice. Somewhere I've always wanted to go." "You can't do this to us," Mom pleaded. "I already did. And maybe next time you'll think twice before taking something that doesn't belong to you." "This isn't over," Rylan threatened. "Actually, it is." I headed for the door. "Oh, and by the way, I've shared all this evidence with the entire family, so they can see exactly why I did what I did." "You didn't," Serena gasped. "Check your phones." I smiled as they all scrambled for their devices. I sent it right before I came here. No more playing the victims. No more making me look like the bad guy. The room erupted in chaos. Phones buzzing with family reactions. Mom starting to cry. Dad trying to maintain order. Rylan cursing. But for the first time in my life, I felt completely calm. I opened the front door, pausing for one last look at my family. I hope you all learned something from this, I said. I know I did. I learned that I'm done being your backup daughter. I'm done being taken for granted. And most importantly, I'm done letting you treat me like I don't matter. I walked out, closing the door on their protests. My phone was already lighting up with messages from extended family, some supportive, some angry, all of them finally seeing the truth. For the first time in my life, I'd shown them exactly who I was. And it felt absolutely liberating. The doorbell rang as I was packing my suitcase for Japan. I opened it to find Mom standing there alone, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. I stepped aside, noticing the absence of her usual confident stride as she entered. "You're packing," she observed, glancing at my open suitcase. "Japan, solo trip." I folded another shirt. "Leaving tomorrow." She picked up a travel guide from my coffee table. "I didn't know you were interested in Japan." "There's a lot you don't know about me, Mom." She set the book down, her hands trembling slightly. "I know, that's why I'm here." I stopped packing and looked at her. "Your Aunt Martha called me yesterday," she continued, "after reading everything you sent to the family. She said something that kept me up all night." "What's that?" She asked me, when was the last time I attended one of your achievements without leaving early for something of Rylan's? Mom's voice cracked. I couldn't remember. I sat down on my couch, and she joined me. "Then I started thinking about all the times you were there for us," she said. "Every birthday, every anniversary, every holiday. Always with thoughtful gifts, always helping, always invisible." "Mom." "No, let me finish." She pulled out her phone. "I went through my photos last night. Hundreds of pictures of Rylan's games, Serena's parties, family gatherings. But you're hardly in any of them, usually just in the background, smiling that same patient smile." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "The vacation. When you gave it to us, I saw that smile again. I should have known. I should have seen what we were doing to you." "But you didn't," I said softly. "No, I didn't. None of us did." She reached for my hand. "Rylan's still angry about the trip. Your father thinks you went too far. But Martha was right. We went too far first. We just didn't realize it because you never fought back before." "I shouldn't have had to fight back." "No, you shouldn't have." She squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry, Phoebe. Not just for the vacation, but for everything. For every time we put Rylan first. For every time we took you for granted. For every time we made you feel less important." The apology I'd wanted for so long hung in the air between us. "What happens now?" I asked. "That's up to you. But I'd like to start over. Really see you this time." She glanced at my suitcase. "Maybe you could tell me about why you chose Japan?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Your mother's right. We need to do better. Have a wonderful trip, sweetheart. Take lots of pictures for us." Then another from Aunt Martha. "Proud of you, girl. Sometimes family needs a wake-up call." And surprisingly, one from Serena. "I was wrong. We all were. I'm sorry." Nothing from Rylan, but I hadn't expected there to be. Not yet. "I'd like to hear about Japan too," Mom said, noticing me reading the messages. "And maybe when you get back, we could plan something together? Just us?" I studied her face. The hope there, the genuine remorse, the desire to change. "I'd like that," I said finally. "But Mom, it has to be different this time. Really different." "It will be." She stood up, walking to my suitcase. "Now, tell me about your trip while you pack. I want to know everything you're planning to see." As I told her about the temples I wanted to visit, The food I wanted to try, the places I wanted to explore. I saw something I'd never seen before. My mother really listening, really seeing me. My phone buzzed again. This time from Rylan. I'm still mad, but I get it. Have a good trip, sis. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale ending where everyone suddenly became the perfect family. But it was real. It was a start. I showed Mom the beautiful ryokan I'd booked in Kyoto, and she gasped at the photos of the traditional Japanese inn. This is amazing, she said. You're going to have such an adventure. Yeah, I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. I am. Sometimes it takes breaking something to fix it properly. Sometimes you have to shatter the old patterns to create new ones. And sometimes, standing up for yourself isn't just about winning or losing. It's about being seen, really seen, for the first time. I packed the last item in my suitcase. A new camera to document my journey. This time, I wouldn't be in the background of the photos. This time, I'd be the star of my own story. I stared at the receipt in my hand, trying to process the 4-figure sum I'd just transferred from my savings account. Another investment in my husband's dreams, while mine collected dust in a folder labeled Someday. My name is Ruby, and I've spent the last 3 years watching my career aspirations dissolve into someone else's success story. The irony? I used to be the one everyone bet on. You're sure about this? The bank teller's concerned look matched her tone. I'd seen her enough times that we were on first-name basis. Absolutely, Marie. It's an investment in our future. I forced a smile, one I'd perfected over countless investor meetings, where I played the supportive wife role. My phone buzzed. Ethan's face lit up my screen. Hey, just transferred the money. You should see it in the account soon. You're amazing, babe. This is exactly what we needed for the new dev team. Moises is already interviewing candidates. His excitement was contagious, even through the phone. Dinner tonight? I'm thinking that Italian place you love. Can't tonight. Meeting Rosalind for drinks. She's having a rough time with the divorce. Right. Tomorrow then? I promise I'll make it up to you. I hung up and checked my watch. Just enough time to make it to the office where I worked as a marketing director, a job I'd taken because it offered flexibility to help with Ethan's startup. 3 years ago, I'd been on track to become CMO at one of the city's top firms. While our story unfolds, we're curious. Where are you all watching from today? From beaches to mountains, we'd love to know. Let's continue. Ruby! Nadia, my mentor from my previous company, waved from across the lobby. I was just thinking about you. Nadia? What brings you here? She pulled me into a hug. Client meeting. But listen, there's an executive position opening up at Vertex. Your name came up in the board meeting. My heart skipped. Vertex was everything I dreamed of. I can't. Ethan's company is at a crucial stage. Nadia's face fell. You're still putting everything into his startup? Ux, it's our startup, I corrected automatically, though the words felt hollow. Honey, when was the last time you were even involved in a business decision there? Before I could answer, my phone chimed with a text from Heidi, my younger sister. Lunch tomorrow? Need your advice on something. Sorry, Nadia, I should head up, but let's catch up soon. Don't be a stranger, she squeezed my arm. And Ruby, don't forget who you are. The rest of the afternoon dragged until my meeting with Rosalind at our usual bar. She was already nursing a martini when I arrived. You look like hell, she said, pushing a glass toward me. Thanks. You really know how to make a girl feel special. Seriously, what's wrong? And don't say nothing. I've known you too long for that. I sighed, swirling my drink. Ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Not all the time during my marriage. She leaned forward. Is this about Ethan's company? I just transferred another chunk of my savings. That's 6 figures now, Roz. 6. And I barely know what's happening there anymore. Have you talked to him about it? He's so focused right now. The company's growing. They're hiring. I don't want to be that wife who holds him back. But it's okay for him to hold you back? Before I could respond, movement at the bar caught my eye. A familiar figure was leaving through the side door. Ethan. But he wasn't alone. A woman was with him, her hand on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. "Ruby, what is it?" "Nothing," I said quickly. Thought I saw someone I knew. But my hands were shaking as I reached for my phone. Ethan's earlier text glowed on the screen. "Stuck at the office tonight, big project deadline." "You okay?" Rosalind's voice seemed far away. "Yeah," I lied, my mind racing. "Just remembered something I need to check on at work." I grabbed my purse, making excuses to leave. Outside, I stood in the cool evening air, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. It was probably nothing. A colleague? A potential investor? But as I flagged down a taxi, I couldn't shake the image of that woman's familiar laugh, the way she'd touched Ethan's arm. Something in my gut told me this wasn't the first time he'd lied about working late. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Heidi. "Really need to talk. Important." I closed my eyes, letting my head rest against the taxi's window. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I'd start asking questions. But deep down, I already knew I wouldn't like the answers. The cafe where Heidi and I always met was unusually quiet. My sister sat across from me, shredding a napkin into tiny pieces, avoiding my eyes. Something was off. She'd barely touched her usual caramel latte. "So, what's this important thing we need to discuss?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light despite the knot in my stomach. She flinched. I don't know how to say this." "Since when do you struggle to tell me anything?" I forced a laugh. "You've been oversharing since you learned to talk." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ruby, I've done something terrible." The knot in my stomach tightened. "What is it?" "It's about Ethan." Her voice cracked. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. "What about Ethan? We've been—" She took a shaky breath. "We've been seeing each other." The words hit me like a physical blow. The cafe's ambient noise faded to a dull roar as memories flashed through my mind. Ethan's late nights, Heidi's sudden interest in tech startups, their awkward behavior at family dinners. "How long?" The words came out barely above a whisper. 6 months. She reached for my hand. I yanked it away. 6 months! My voice rose sharply. Several heads turned our way. "My husband and my sister, for 6 months. Ruby, please." "Please what?" I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "Please forgive you for sleeping with my husband while I poured my life savings into his company." "It wasn't supposed to happen." Tears streamed down her face. "We never meant to get caught?" I grabbed my purse. "Don't follow me." Outside, the spring air felt suffocating. My phone was already ringing. "Heidi." I declined the call and dialed Ethan's number instead. He answered on the third ring. "Hey babe, I'm in a meeting." "Come home, now." I hung up before he could respond. The drive home was a blur. I paced our living room, touching things that suddenly felt foreign. Wedding photos, shared memories, lies. When Ethan finally walked in, his face told me he already knew. "She told you." It wasn't a question. 6 months, Ethan? While I supported your dreams, funded your company, put my life on hold? He stepped toward me. "Ruby, I can explain." "Explain what? How you fucked my sister. How you looked me in the eye every day and lied." "It was a mistake. I'll end it, I swear. We can work through this." I laughed. A harsh sound that surprised even me. "Work through this? Do you have any idea how much money I've invested in your company?" "Our company," he corrected automatically. "My money," I snapped. "Or did you forget where your seed funding came from?" His face changed. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying get out, now." "Ruby, please, I love you. Get out!" I grabbed the nearest object, a crystal vase, our wedding gift, and hurled it at the wall beside him. It shattered spectacularly. He backed toward the door, hands raised. "I'll give you space. We'll talk when you're calmer." The door clicked shut behind him. I stood in the silence, surrounded by broken glass and broken promises, when my phone rang again. "Nadia." "I just heard," she said when I answered. "Rosalind called me." I can't think straight." My voice shook. "Listen to me carefully, Ruby. Don't do anything rash. Not yet." What do you mean? You're a majority stakeholder in his company, right? Through your investments? Yes, but then you have power, real power. Don't waste it on a dramatic divorce announcement or public scandal. I sank onto the couch. What are you suggesting? Come to my office tomorrow. We'll talk strategy. There are better ways to handle this than throwing vases. You heard that? Honey, I think the whole neighborhood heard that. Her voice softened. Get some rest. Tomorrow we plan. After hanging up, I walked to our home office. Opening the safe, I pulled out every document related to Ethan's company. Every investment, every transfer, every agreement I'd signed. 6 figures of my money, built from years of bonuses and savings, all poured into his dream. My phone buzzed with texts. Heidi. Please let me explain. Ethan. I'll sleep at a hotel. Call me when you're ready to talk. Rosalind. My couch is ready if you need it. I ignored them all, spreading the documents across the desk. Nadia was right. I had power. Real power. And for the first time since hearing Heidi's confession, I felt something other than pain. I felt purpose. Nadia's corner office overlooked the city skyline, but I barely noticed the view. My attention was fixed on the spreadsheets spread across her desk, each one detailing my investments in Ethan's company. You own 43%, Nadia said, tapping her pen against the papers. That's not just money you've invested, it's documented voting rights. And Ethan? 30%. His partner Moises holds 15%, and the rest is split among minor investors. She leaned back. You're the majority stakeholder, Ruby. Which means what, exactly? It means, she smiled, you have options. Legal, calculated options. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ethan. I switched it off. First step, Nadia continued. We need someone on the inside. Someone with access to current financials and board meetings. Moises, I said immediately. He's always been more practical than Ethan, less emotional. Perfect. Set up a meeting. Be honest about the situation, but strategic. 2 days later, I sat across from Moises in a quiet restaurant far from the office. His expression remained neutral as I explained everything. I had no idea, he said finally, about any of it. Neither did I. I took a sip of water. But here's the thing, Moises. I'm not looking to destroy the company. I want to save it. He raised an eyebrow. From Ethan? From his impulsive decisions. You've seen them yourself. The rushed hiring, the overambitious projections. The new office lease we can't afford, he added quietly. Exactly. I leaned forward. Work with me. Help me take control before he runs this thing into the ground. Moises studied me for a long moment. What's your plan? First, I need information. Real information, not the sugar-coated updates I've been getting. He nodded slowly. I can do that, but Ethan can't know. Of course not. I pulled out my card. Use this number only. No company email. Back at my temporary office, a small co-working space I'd rented, I began receiving Moises's updates. The picture wasn't pretty. Ethan had been making promises to investors that the company couldn't keep, and Heidi's recent promotion to project manager was raising eyebrows. Your sister's not qualified for the position, Rosalind said bluntly over lunch. Everyone knows it. Everyone except Ethan, apparently. I stabbed at my salad. Or maybe he knows and doesn't care. So what's next in this master plan of yours? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with an unknown number. A text from Moises. Emergency board meeting called for tomorrow. E wants to discuss new funding round. Perfect timing, I muttered. What is? I showed her the text. Ethan's about to discover that his wife isn't as passive as he thought. The next morning, I walked into the board meeting wearing my sharpest suit. Ethan's face went pale when he saw me. Ruby, what are you doing here? I smiled, taking a seat. I'm the majority stakeholder, remember? I have every right to be here. Heidi, sitting next to him, looked like she wanted to disappear. Good. Now, I addressed the room, I understand we're discussing a new funding round? Ethan cleared his throat. Yes, We need additional capital for expansion. Interesting. I opened my laptop. Because according to these projections, what we actually need is better management of existing resources. The room went quiet. Moises shifted in his seat, hiding a smile. I've prepared an alternative proposal. I started my presentation. Our current burn rate is unsustainable. We're hemorrhaging money on unnecessary expenses while core development is underfunded. For the next 30 minutes, I laid out every financial misstep, every questionable decision, every inflated projection. With each slide, Ethan's face grew redder. This is ridiculous, he finally exploded. You can't just walk in here. Actually, I can. And I am. I turned to the other board members. As majority stakeholder, I moved to temporarily suspend all major financial decisions pending a complete audit. I second the motion, Moises said immediately. The vote was quick and decisive. Ethan watched helplessly as his control began slipping away. After the meeting, he caught up to me in the parking lot. What are you doing, Ruby? Protecting my investment. I kept walking. Is this about us? About Heidi? Because we can fix that. I spun around. Fix it? You think this is about fixing our marriage? Then what is it about? It's about consequences, Ethan. I met his eyes. You're about to learn that every action has them. As I drove away, my phone buzzed with a text from Nadia. How did it go? I smiled, thinking of Ethan's face when I took control of that meeting. Phase 1 complete. Ready for Phase 2? Her response came quickly. Always. Dinner tonight? We have a lot to plan. For the first time in days, I felt truly powerful. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what was mine. And I was just getting started. You're doing what? Rosalind nearly choked on her wine. Going to my parents' anniversary dinner, I repeated, adjusting my earrings in her bathroom mirror. With Ethan. Have you lost your mind? Yo, it's called strategy. I applied a final coat of lipstick. Mom's already devastated about the separation. I'm not ruining their 40th anniversary by making it public. And Heidi? Conveniently caught food poisoning. I smiled grimly. At least that's what she told them. The drive to the restaurant with Ethan was thick with tension. He kept glancing at me, probably trying to reconcile this composed version of his wife with the one who'd thrown a vase at him. Ruby, he started. Don't. I kept my eyes on the road. We're doing this for my parents, that's all. The restaurant was packed with family friends. My parents beamed when we walked in hand, the perfect couple. If only they knew. Where's Heidi? Mom asked, hugging me. Food poisoning, I said smoothly. She sends her love. Throughout dinner, I played my part flawlessly, laughing at the right moments, touching Ethan's arm occasionally, sharing knowing looks. But underneath the table, my phone buzzed constantly with updates from Moises about the company audit. Everything okay? Ethan whispered as I checked another message. Just work, I smiled sweetly. You know how it is, always something urgent. His jaw tightened. He knew exactly what kind of work I was dealing with. Back at Rosalind's apartment, my temporary home, I kicked off my heels and opened my laptop. Moises's latest email confirmed what I'd suspected. Heidi's promotion had come with an unauthorized salary increase far above market rate. Got you, I muttered, forwarding the evidence to my lawyer. My phone rang. Nadia. How was dinner with the parents? Oscar-worthy performance, I sighed, but exhausting. Good news, though. Our contact at the investment firm got back to me. They're interested in meeting. I sat up straighter. Really? That was fast. They've been watching the company for a while. Your audit revelations just confirmed their suspicions about management issues. The next morning, I walked into the office I'd set up in the co-working space to find Heidi waiting. How did you get in here? Told reception I was your sister. She looked terrible, pale, with dark circles under her eyes. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. Ruby, please, I'm drowning here. The new project they gave me, I'm not qualified. I can't handle it. Funny how actions have consequences, isn't it? I know you're behind the audit, she said quietly. Behind everything. Prove it. I'm your sister. I know how you think. No, I stepped closer. You lost the right to call yourself my sister when you slept with my husband. I'm sorry. She burst into tears. I never meant to get caught, to face consequences, to actually have to earn your position instead of sleeping your way into it. Her face crumpled. What do you want from me? I want you to do your job, the one you're so desperately unqualified for. And when you fail, and you will fail, I want you to remember that you did this to yourself. After she left, I called Nadia. Heidi just paid me a visit. How did that go? About as well as expected. I rubbed my temples. She knows I'm behind everything. Does it matter? No, I said after a moment. It actually makes it better. That afternoon, I had another board meeting. Ethan looked exhausted, his usual confidence replaced by nervous energy. The audit findings were devastating. Financial mismanagement, unauthorized bonuses, inflated projections. These decisions have put us in a precarious position. I concluded my presentation. We need immediate changes in management structure. You can't just... Ethan started. Actually, she can, Moises interrupted. And she should. The vote was unanimous. Effective immediately, all major decisions would require board approval, meaning my approval. In the hallway afterward, Ethan grabbed my arm. This isn't you, Ruby. This calculated revenge. I pulled away. You have no idea who I am anymore, but you're about to find out. That night, I sat in my temporary office, staring at the city lights. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Heidi's really upset. Whatever's happening between you girls, please fix it. I turned the phone face down. The time for fixing things was long past. Now was the time for dismantling, piece by piece, decision by decision, until there was nothing left of the life they'd destroyed. My laptop pinged with an email from the investment firm. Meeting confirmed for tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of Ethan's face when he realized just how thoroughly I'd orchestrated his downfall. This double life, playing the civil ex-wife while systematically taking control, was exhausting, but watching them squirm made it worth every moment. The investment firm's conference room felt colder than necessary. I watched Ethan fidget with his tie as the potential investors reviewed our presentation. These numbers are concerning, said Sarah, the lead investor, particularly the management turnover rate. We're implementing changes, Ethan started, but I cut him off. Actually, we're completely restructuring our management approach. I pulled up a new slide. I've developed a transition plan that addresses these issues. Ethan's head snapped toward me. This was the first he'd heard of it. Interesting. Sarah leaned forward. And who would lead this transition? I would. I met her gaze steadily. As majority stakeholder, I'm positioning myself to take a more active role. The meeting ended with cautious optimism from the investors. In the elevator afterward, Ethan exploded. What the hell was that? That was me saving your company from your mismanagement. By taking over? This isn't what you do, Ruby. You're not a tech executive. No, I'm just the person who funded your dreams while you screwed my sister. The elevator doors opened and I walked out, leaving him sputtering behind me. Back at the office, Moises was waiting with more updates. Heidi's project is falling apart. 3 developers quit this morning. Already? I raised an eyebrow. That was faster than expected. She had a breakdown in the middle of a team meeting, started crying about being in over her head. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Ruby? Heidi's voice was shaky. I need help. Sounds like a personal problem. Please. The project. I don't understand half of what they're talking about. The team doesn't respect me. They know I'm not qualified. Finally, something we agree on. I'll quit. Just, please stop whatever you're doing. I laughed. Quit? No, dear sister. You're going to stay right where you are and face every consequence of your actions. Later that evening, Rosalind poured me another glass of wine. Don't you think you're being a little harsh? Harsh? I set my glass down. They destroyed my marriage, betrayed my trust, and tried to take advantage of my investment. They deserve harsh. I know, but... She hesitated. You seem different lately. Colder. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Mom again. Ruby, honey, what's going on? Heidi's a mess. Ethan looks terrible, and you're acting like nothing's wrong. Everything's fine, Mom. Don't lie to me. I'm your mother. I know when something's wrong with my girls. I closed my eyes. Mom, please. Not now. After hanging up, I checked my email. The investment firm had sent their terms, with one condition. I had to take over as CEO. They want me to run it, I told Nadia over the phone. Isn't that what you wanted? Is it? I stared out the window. I wanted revenge, but this is power, she finished. Real power. The next morning, I arrived at the office early to find Ethan waiting in my temporary workspace. We need to talk. He looked awful, unshaven, shirt wrinkled. About? About us. About what happened. He ran a hand through his hair. I made a terrible mistake, Ruby. The biggest mistake of my life. Just one mistake? Or 6 months of mistakes? I love you. I never stopped loving you. That's worse, actually. I kept my voice steady, because it means you knew exactly what you were doing when you betrayed me. What can I do? His voice cracked. Tell me how to fix this. For a moment, just a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Then I remembered finding them together, remembered every lie, every betrayal. You can't fix this, Ethan, but you can watch while I take everything you built and make it better than you ever could. He slumped against the wall. This isn't you, Ruby. This revenge. It's changing you. No, I stood up. It's revealing me. Now get out of my office. After he left, I sat there shaking. My phone buzzed with a text from Heidi. The team's requesting a project review. I can't do this presentation. Then fail, I typed back. Publicly. Another message popped up, this time from Moises. Board meeting in an hour. Investment firm's terms are on the agenda. I gathered my materials, pushing down the nagging voice that sounded suspiciously like Rosalind asking if I was going too far. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about proving something to myself. But as I watched my reflection in the elevator doors, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. Her eyes were harder, her smile sharper. She looked powerful, in control. She looked exactly like what I'd wanted to become. So why did that scare me so much? The boardroom fell silent as I laid out the investment firm's terms. Ethan sat at the far end, his face ashen. Heidi, who'd insisted on attending despite not being a board member, looked like she might throw up. Let me be clear, I said, standing at the head of the table. The firm will inject $20 million, but only under new leadership. Meaning you. Ethan's voice was hollow. Meaning someone with a proven track record of financial responsibility. I met his gaze. Which rules you out? Moises cleared his throat. The terms are favorable. Better than we could hope for, given our current situation. This is insane! Heidi burst out. She's doing this to punish us. Ms. Pearson, Moises said sharply, you're not a board member. Please refrain from commenting. I continued as if she hadn't spoken. The vote is simple. Accept the investment under new leadership, or watch this company collapse under its current management. Ruby? Ethan stood up. Can we discuss this privately? Sit down. My voice could have frozen hell. We're doing this here, now, in front of everyone. The vote was quick. Even Ethan, seeing no alternative, raised his hand in favor. Within minutes, I was officially CEO of the company I'd helped build, but never led. Effective immediately, I announced, all project leads will report directly to me. That includes you, Heidi. She paled. But my presentation is in 30 minutes. I look forward to it. The project review meeting was brutal. Heidi stumbled through her presentation, unable to answer basic questions about development timelines and resource allocation. The team's frustration was palpable. So, I said when she finished, You have no clear milestone dates, no budget oversight, and no grasp of the technical requirements? I've been learning as I go. Learning? I laughed. This isn't an internship. This is a multi-million-dollar project. Ruby, please. That's CEO Pearson to you. I turned to the team. From now on, Thomas will lead this project. Heidi, you're demoted to junior coordinator. Try not to sleep your way out of that position, too. The room went dead silent. Heidi burst into tears and ran out. I continued the meeting as if nothing had happened. Afterward, Ethan cornered me in my new office, his old office. That was cruel, he said. Cruel? I turned from organizing my desk. Like sleeping with my sister while I funded your dreams? That kind of cruel? I know I hurt you. No, I cut him off. You have no idea how much you hurt me, but you're about to find out. What does that mean? I smiled, pulling out a folder. It means I'm exercising my right as CEO to review all compensation packages, starting with yours and Heidi's. His face went white. You can't. I can and I will. Now get out of my office. Unlike some people, I actually work for my position. That evening, Rosalind found me still at my desk, reviewing files. You missed our dinner, she said, setting down takeout. Had to hear about your boardroom drama from 3 different people. Sorry, been busy. Ruby, she sat down. What are you doing? Running a company. No, you're destroying yourself. I saw Heidi crying in the parking lot. Good. Is it? She leaned forward. Because the Ruby I know wouldn't. The Ruby you know died the day her husband and sister betrayed her. No, Rosalind stood up. She didn't. She's just lost right now. And I hope she finds her way back before she becomes exactly what she hates. After she left, I stared at my reflection in the darkened window. My phone buzzed. Mom again. Heidi told me everything, she said when I answered. About her and Ethan. About what you're doing now. And I'm worried about you, honey. This revenge, it's eating you alive. I'm fine. No, you're not. None of you are. She paused. Come to dinner tomorrow. Just you and me, please? I hesitated, then agreed. Hanging up, I noticed a photo I'd missed while clearing out Ethan's things. Us on our wedding day, both smiling, full of hope. I picked it up, ready to throw it away, when something caught my eye. The way he looked at me then, with real love, real commitment. The same way he'd looked at me yesterday, begging to fix things. For the first time since this all began, I felt something crack in my carefully constructed wall of anger. But it was too late to stop now. Tomorrow, the new contracts would be announced. Tomorrow, they'd learn the true cost of betrayal. Tomorrow, I'd finally win. So why did victory suddenly taste so bitter? Mom's kitchen smelled like childhood, fresh bread, and something simmering on the stove. She handed me a cup of tea without asking if I wanted one. Some things never changed. Talk to me, she said, sitting across from me. Really talk to me. About what? How my husband and sister betrayed me? How I'm finally taking control? About why you're punishing yourself along with them? I nearly dropped my cup. I'm not. Ruby, look at yourself. When's the last time you slept? Really slept? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another crisis at the office. They never stopped now. See? Mom gestured at the phone. This isn't you taking control. This is you drowning yourself in revenge. You don't understand. I understand better than you think. She reached for my hand. Your father had an affair once. The world stopped. What? 25 years ago. I wanted to destroy him, destroy her, destroy everything we'd built. She squeezed my hand. But you know what I realized? What? That hatred hurts the person holding it more than anyone else. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Moises. Emergency. Ethan's threatening to go to the press. I have to go. I stood up abruptly. Work emergency. Ruby, I'll call you later. I found Ethan in the conference room with Moises and our PR team. He looked wild-eyed, desperate. You can't cut my salary by 60%, he said as soon as I walked in. I built this company. With my money, I reminded him, and your performance doesn't justify your current compensation. Then I'll tell everyone how you orchestrated this takeover, how you manipulated. Go ahead. I sat down calmly. Tell them how you mismanaged funds, gave unauthorized raises to your mistress, and nearly tanked the company before I saved it. He deflated visibly. Ruby, please, I know I hurt you. Hurt me? I laughed. You and Heidi destroyed everything I believed in, everything I trusted. And this is making it better? He gestured around. Looking over your shoulder, suspicious of everyone, working yourself to death for revenge? Mr. Sanders, Moises interrupted, I suggest you accept the new contract terms. They're more than fair given the circumstances. After Ethan left, Moises stayed behind. He's right about one thing. You're working yourself to death. I'm fine. No, you're not. And neither is Heidi. He hesitated. She had another breakdown today. Something twisted in my chest. Not my problem. Ruby, he said softly, when does it end? I didn't have an answer. That night, unable to sleep, I drove to the office. The security guard barely blinked anymore at my late hours. I found Heidi in her tiny new workspace, crying over project documents. What are you doing here? I asked. She jumped. I can't fail at this too. I can't. Looking at her, really looking at her, I saw what everyone else had been seeing. Dark circles under her eyes, unwashed hair, shaking hands. She looked like I felt. Go home, Heidi. I can't. If I fail at this job, you've already failed. The words came out softer than I intended. We both have. She looked up, confused. What? You failed as a sister. I failed at marriage. And now we're both failing at being human beings. I never meant, she started, to hurt me. But you did. You both did. I sat down heavily. And now I'm hurting everyone, including myself. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. For the first time since this began, I really looked at my sister, the girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who cried when I left for college, who'd always been more fragile than she pretended to be. I don't forgive you, I said finally. I don't know if I ever can. I know. But what we're doing, it has to stop. My phone buzzed. Rosalind. Just checking if you're still alive. Miss my best friend. Heidi glanced at my phone. Everyone misses who you used to be, even me. I miss her too. The admission surprised me. I'm just not sure how to find her again. Maybe. Heidi stood up shakily. We both need to find our way back. I watched her gather her things, remembering Mom's words about hatred hurting the person holding it. Looking around the empty office, at what my victory had cost, I finally understood what she meant. Heidi, I called as she reached the door. Get some sleep, real sleep. She nodded, then paused. You too, Ruby, please. After she left, I sat in the darkness, letting the weight of everything crash over me. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom. Remember, sweetheart, healing is harder than hurting, but it's worth it. For the first time in months, I let myself cry. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final separation agreement. Across the desk, Ethan sat quietly, pen in hand. You're keeping me on as CTO? He looked up from the papers. You're good at the technical side, I said. That was never the problem. And Heidi? She's resigned, taking classes in project management, learning the right way this time. He nodded slowly. I never wanted any of this. Neither did I. I pushed the papers toward him. Sign. As he scribbled his signature, Moises knocked and entered. The investment team is here. The meeting went smoothly. Our new structure was solid. Me as CEO, Ethan as CTO with clear boundaries, and a fresh management team vetted by the board. No more shortcuts, no more nepotism. Impressive turnaround, Sarah, the lead investor, said afterward, though not quite what we expected when we first met. Life rarely is, I replied. Later, I found Rosalind waiting in my office with lunch. Heard you're making changes. Had to. I took a bite of sandwich. Turns out revenge is exhausting. Finally figured that out, huh? She smiled. So what now? Now? I pulled out a folder. Remember that CMO position I turned down 3 years ago? They're still interested? Different company, better offer. I handed her the letter. They want someone who can transform struggling businesses. And the startup? I'll remain on the board, but step down as CEO once we've stabilized. Moises will take over. He's ready. My phone buzzed. Heidi. Passed my first certification exam. Good job, I texted back. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. You're different, Rosalind observed. Lighter somehow. Mom said something that stuck with me, about hatred hurting the person holding it. Smart woman, your mom. Speaking of, I checked the time. I should go. Family dinner tonight. The whole family. No, just Mom and me. Baby steps. That evening, Mom's kitchen felt different. No tension, no unspoken accusations. Just the familiar smell of home and the sound of her humming while she cooked. Heard about the changes at work, she said, stirring sauce. Proud of you. For giving up revenge? For choosing growth instead? She turned to face me. It's harder, isn't it? Much harder. I helped her plate the food. But better. And Heidi? We text sometimes, about her classes, mostly. I sat down. I'm not ready for more. But you're ready for something, she smiled. That's progress. After dinner, I drove to the beach, my thinking spot since childhood. The waves crashed steadily as I pulled out my phone and opened my email drafts. Dear Heidi, I typed. Coffee next week? Just us. Before I could overthink it, I hit send. My phone rang almost immediately. Nadia. Heard you're leaving the startup, she said. News travels fast. You okay? I watched the waves, thinking about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the revenge, the cost of both. Actually, yeah, I said. For the first time in months, I really am. Good, she paused. Because that CMO position? It's at my new company. I laughed. You planned this? Let's say I saw potential in your transformation, both personal and professional. Walking along the beach, I felt lighter with each step. My phone buzzed again, Heidi accepting the coffee invitation, then Ethan confirming the final paperwork was filed, then Rosalind suggesting celebratory drinks. I sat in the sand, watching the sunset, and opened my journal. The one Mom gave me when this all started. On the first page, I'd written a list of everything I wanted: revenge, control, victory. Now I wrote a new list: peace, growth, purpose, healing. The last rays of sun glinted off my wedding ring, still on my finger. I twisted it off, feeling its weight one last time, then stood and walked to the water's edge. The ring made a small splash as it hit the waves. Not everything needed to be held on to. Not everything needed to be fixed. Sometimes letting go was its own kind of victory. My phone lit up with a final text from Mom. Remember what I always say? I smiled, typing back the phrase she'd repeated throughout my childhood. The strongest people know when to put down their weapons and pick up their wisdom. Standing there, between the setting sun and the rising moon, I finally understood what she meant. The real victory wasn't in destroying what hurt you, but in building something better from the ruins. I turned away from the ocean and headed home, leaving behind the weight of revenge and carrying instead the lighter burden of hope.
The notification from my banking app made my stomach drop. I blinked hard, hoping the numbers would somehow rearrange themselves into something that made sense. They didn't. $250,000 gone. I'm Tori, and until that moment, I thought I had my life figured out. 20 years of marriage, 2 teenagers, and a successful career as a business consultant. I'd spent years building that safety net dollar by dollar, client by client. Now it had vanished without a trace. "Stephen," I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. "Can you come here for a minute?" My husband appeared in the doorway of our kitchen, already dressed for court in his crisp navy suit. "What's up, honey? I've got a meeting in 30. There must be some mistake with the bank. I held up my phone. The joint savings account. It's practically empty. Stephen's face didn't register surprise. Instead, he smiled. That same smile he used when explaining complex legal terms to clients. "Oh, that. I was going to tell you over breakfast. I made an investment." "An investment?" The word felt wrong in my mouth. "Remember Piper, the young entrepreneur I mentioned? She's opening this amazing boutique downtown. The business plan is solid. We'll double our money within a year." The room started spinning. Piper, he'd mentioned her exactly twice before, both times in passing, both times with that slight catch in his voice I'd chosen to ignore. "You invested our savings without discussing it with me?" "Our savings?" He laughed, actually laughed. "Come on, Tori, you're overreacting. I know what I'm doing. I'm a lawyer, remember?" The casual dismissal in his voice made something snap inside me. But instead of screaming like I wanted to, I forced myself to smile. "You're right. I'm sure you've thought this through." Stephen checked his Rolex. "I need to run. We'll talk more tonight?" I nodded, watching him gather his briefcase. As he headed toward the garage, his phone buzzed. He answered it in the hallway, voice low but not quite low enough. "Hey, beautiful." "Yes, it's all taken care of." "Don't worry about Tori, she's fine with it. Listen, I'll stop by the boutique later." My hands gripped the kitchen counter until my knuckles turned white. The granite felt cool against my palms, grounding me as my world tilted on its axis. Sophia, my 15-year-old daughter, wandered in wearing her soccer uniform. "Mom, you okay? You look weird." "I'm fine, sweetie." I straightened up, reaching for the coffee pot with trembling hands. "Just work stuff." "Dad left already?" "Important meeting." The words tasted bitter. "He's been having a lot of those lately," Sophia muttered, grabbing an apple from the fruit bowl. Jeremy, my son, thundered down the stairs next, headphones around his neck. "Mom, I need money for the field trip." "Ask your father," I said, surprising myself with the edge in my voice. "He's apparently making all the financial decisions these days." Both kids stared at me. I never talked about money issues in front of them. "Mom?" Sophia's voice was careful. "What's going on?" I forced another smile. "Nothing, honey. Just stressed about work. You'll both miss your bus if you don't leave now." After they left, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. The banking app was still open, mocking me with its numbers. 20 years of marriage, and I'd never once questioned Stephen's loyalty. Now every business dinner, every late night at the office, every casual mention of networking events seemed suspect. My phone buzzed. A text from Hazel, my best friend. "Coffee today? You look like you need it." I hadn't posted anything online, hadn't called anyone, but Hazel had this sixth sense about these things. She'd known something was wrong with her ex-husband months before discovering his affair. An affair? The word I'd been avoiding floated to the surface of my mind. I typed back, "Usual place, noon. I need your advice." Then I opened my laptop and pulled up my consulting files. If Stephen thought I would just roll over and accept this, he didn't know me at all. I'd built my career helping businesses identify their weaknesses and strengthen their foundations. Now I would use those same skills to understand exactly what my husband had done. My phone buzzed again, an email notification. A boutique downtown was requesting consulting services. The owner's name made my blood run cold. Piper Riley. I clicked delete, but my finger hesitated over the screen. Maybe. Maybe this was exactly the opening I needed. My husband had taught me one thing over his years as a lawyer. Sometimes the best defense is a carefully planned offense. I clicked open instead of delete, a plan already forming in my mind. Two could play at this game of secrets and lies. He did what? Hazel nearly knocked over her latte. We were tucked away in the corner of our favorite coffee shop, far from the usual business crowd. 250,000. Just gone. I wrapped my hands around my untouched coffee, and he acted like it was nothing, like I was being unreasonable for questioning it. That's not just financial abuse, Tori. That's straight up theft. Hazel leaned forward, her voice dropping. Tell me you're not letting him get away with this. I'm not, but I need to be smart about it. I pulled out my tablet, showing her what I'd discovered. Look at these business registrations. The boutique was incorporated 3 months ago, but there are 2 other LLCs created around the same time. Shell companies? Maybe. But here's the interesting part. Piper's name isn't on any of them. Only Stephen's. Hazel's eyes narrowed. He's protecting himself, making sure she can't take control. Exactly, and look at this. I swiped to another document. The lease agreement for the boutique space. The monthly rent is triple the market rate for that area. Let me guess, the building owner is one of those LLCs? I nodded. Stephen's basically paying himself with my money. That sneaky bastard. Hazel grabbed my hand. You need a lawyer, Tori. A good one. Not yet. The moment I get legal involved, he'll know I'm onto him. He'll hide everything deeper. My phone buzzed. Another email from Piper. 3rd one this week. Hazel noticed my expression. What is it? The mistress keeps reaching out, wants to hire me as a consultant. Delete it. I did, twice, but I hesitated. What if that's my way in? Tori, no, that's crazy. Is it? Stephen's playing both sides. Maybe I should too. Before Hazel could respond, my phone rang. Sophia's face appeared on the screen. Hi, sweetie. Everything okay? Mom? Her voice was shaky. I just saw Dad, downtown. He was with some woman. My heart stopped. Where? Outside that new boutique near the courthouse. They were hugging. Mom, what's going on? I caught Hazel's concerned look. Sophia, listen to me. Go straight home after practice. We'll talk then, okay? After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. My daughter shouldn't have to see this. Then end it, Hazel said firmly. Confront him. Not yet. I straightened up, opening my email. First, I need to understand exactly what I'm dealing with. I clicked reply to Piper's latest message. Available for a consultation tomorrow. 2 p.m. Hazel grabbed my wrist. Think about what you're doing. I am. For the first time in 20 years, I'm thinking like Stephen would. That evening, I walked into a silent house. Jeremy was at basketball practice, but Sophia sat at the kitchen counter, homework spread out but untouched. Hey, Mom. She didn't look up. Remember when you said we could always talk about anything? I set down my bag. Of course. Is Dad having an affair? The directness of her question knocked the wind out of me. I sat beside her, choosing my words carefully. What makes you think that? The woman I saw him with, she's young, pretty, and he wasn't acting like it was just business. Sophia finally met my eyes. Plus, you've been different since yesterday, after you saw something on your phone. My brilliant, observant daughter. I couldn't lie to her. I'm handling it, I said finally, but I need you to trust me, okay? And maybe don't mention what you saw to your brother yet. Sophia nodded slowly. Are you going to divorce him? I don't know yet, but whatever happens, you and Jeremy are my priority. My phone buzzed. Piper's response. Thank you for considering my request. There's more to this situation than you know. Please let me explain tomorrow. Sophia noticed my expression. Mom, what are you planning? Nothing illegal. I managed a small smile, just protecting what's ours. Later that night, after the kids were in bed, I sat in my home office, reviewing everything I'd gathered. Business records, bank statements, property documents. Stephen had been methodical, but he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated me. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Diaz, it's Piper. I know you hate me, but please don't cancel tomorrow. I can help you get your money back. Stephen's been lying to both of us. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. 2 p.m. Don't be late. Whatever game Stephen was playing, he'd just lost control of one of his pieces. And tomorrow, I'd find out exactly how many other pieces were ready to turn against him. I chose a quiet cafe 3 towns over for my meeting with Piper. As I watched her walk in, I understood what Sophia meant by young and pretty. She couldn't have been more than 31, with the kind of confidence that came from never having your dreams crushed. Until now, apparently. Mrs. Diaz, Tori, she corrected herself, sliding into the seat across from me. Thank you for meeting me. Let's be clear, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm here as a business consultant, nothing more. Piper nodded, pulling out a folder. I need you to see these first. She spread out several documents. Stephen told me the boutique investment came from his personal accounts. I never knew. I never thought that it was my money. My coffee cup clinked sharply against its saucer. That it was stolen. Her eyes met mine. I thought he believed in my business. Instead, he's been using it to launder money from his other clients. That got my attention. What other clients? Real estate developers mostly. The boutique's just a front. Those inflated lease payments, they're going to offshore accounts. She pushed a USB drive across the table. Everything's here. Account numbers, transfer records, emails. I stared at the drive. Why are you showing me this? Because he's going to pin everything on me when it falls apart. Her hands trembled slightly. I'm the perfect scapegoat, the young, ambitious mistress who seduced him into making bad investments. And you expect me to help you? I expect you to help yourself. Piper leaned forward. Your name's on those joint accounts he emptied. When the FBI starts investigating financial fraud, you'll be implicated too. My blood ran cold. The FBI? It's only a matter of time. One of his clients is already asking questions. She glanced around nervously. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Tori. I'm offering you a chance to protect yourself and your kids. By doing what, exactly? Let me hire you. Officially. You'll have legitimate access to all the boutique's records. We'll document everything. Build a paper trail showing you were brought in to clean up the mess after discovering irregularities. I laughed bitterly. You've thought this through. I had to. Stephen's not who either of us thought he was. Piper's voice cracked. Last week I found out I'm pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. Does he know? She shook her head. I was going to tell him, but then I found these documents. He's been playing both of us, Tori, and I refuse to let my child's father be a man who could do this. I studied her face, looking for any sign of manipulation. All I saw was fear, the same fear I'd been fighting since that bank notification. If we do this, I said slowly, we do it my way. No shortcuts, no games. Agreed. And you'll sign a contract giving me complete oversight of the boutique's finances. Piper nodded quickly. Already drawn up. My lawyer approved it this morning. Your lawyer? A woman Stephen would never suspect. She specializes in helping abuse victims protect their assets. Smart girl. Maybe that's what Stephen had seen in her. Not just youth and beauty, but intelligence he could exploit. One more thing, I added. Everything we discuss stays between us. My children can't know about. I gestured vaguely at her midsection. Of course. Piper touched her stomach unconsciously. I never wanted to hurt your family, Tori. I know that sounds ridiculous, but save it. I held up my hand. We're not friends. We're not going to be friends. We're two women who got conned by the same man, working together to protect ourselves. That's all. She nodded, relief visible on her face. When can you start? I pulled out my laptop. Right now. Show me everything. For the next 2 hours, Piper walked me through Stephen's elaborate scheme. The boutique was actually doing well. Her business instincts were solid, but Stephen had built a complex web of fake vendors and inflated expenses around it. My money hadn't gone into inventory or renovations. It had vanished into his network of shell companies. One last question, I said as we wrapped up. Why didn't you go directly to the authorities? Piper's hand drifted to her stomach again. Because I wanted a chance to make this right first, for all of us. As I drove home, my mind raced with possibilities. With access to the boutique's books and Piper's cooperation, I could track every dollar Stephen had stolen. But more importantly, I could start moving pieces into position for what came next. My phone rang, Stephen's face appearing on the screen. Hey, honey, he said when I answered. Great news. That investment I told you about? Already showing returns. How about I take you out tonight to celebrate? I smiled into the phone, thinking of the USB drive in my purse. Actually, I have some exciting news too. Let's definitely celebrate. Sometimes the best revenge starts with a single, simple lie. The boutique's third quarter projections are exceeding expectations, I explained to Stephen over dinner at his favorite steakhouse. Piper's actually quite talented at merchandising. Stephen's fork paused halfway to his mouth. You've been working with Piper? Of course. I took a sip of wine. When she reached out for consulting, I saw an opportunity to protect our investment. That's okay, right? Yes, of course. He recovered quickly, flashing that practiced lawyer smile. I'm glad you're taking an interest. The numbers don't lie. I pulled out my tablet, showing him the carefully curated reports. We could double the initial investment by year's end. Stephen relaxed visibly, pride creeping into his voice. I told you it was a smart move. You should trust my judgment more often. Oh, I'm learning to trust all sorts of things lately. Before he could process the edge in my voice, Jeremy stormed up to our table, his server's apron askew. You said you'd be at my game tonight, he accused Stephen. Coach was gonna start me. Stephen checked his watch. Sorry, sport, got caught up at work. Next time? Whatever. Jeremy turned away. Mom, I'm taking my break now. I found him in the employee break room, angrily punching at his phone. He's been caught up at work for every game this season, Jeremy muttered. I know, honey. I sat beside him. Things are complicated right now. Are you guys getting divorced? The question hung in the air. Why would you think that? Sophia said she saw Dad with some woman, and you're acting weird, like scary calm weird. I chose my next words carefully. Your father and I are working through some things. But whatever happens, it won't change how much we love you and Sophia. I'm not a kid anymore, Mom. Just tell me the truth. The truth is complicated. Give me time to sort it out, okay? Jeremy's phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. Dad's girlfriend is at the boutique again, the one I told you about. I caught a glimpse before he quickly locked his screen. Jeremy. Sophia's been keeping tabs, he admitted. We're not stupid, Mom. My children playing detective. I wasn't sure whether to be proud or heartbroken. Back at the table, Stephen was on his phone, frowning. Piper says the store's computer system crashed. I should go check. Already handled, I interrupted smoothly. I set up new accounting software last week. Everything's backed up. His frown deepened. You didn't mention that? Didn't I? Must have slipped my mind. Like how you forgot to mention the third LLC registered under your name. Stephen's knuckles whitened around his wine glass. That's just standard business structure. Of course, I smiled. More wine? Later that night, I met Hazel at our regular spot, the 24-hour diner where we'd weathered countless crises over the years. You're playing a dangerous game, she warned, stirring her coffee. What if he catches on? He won't. His ego won't let him see it. I showed her the latest financial reports. Look how proud he is, showing off his successful investment. He's even bragging to his law partners. And Piper, you sure she won't turn on you? She has more to lose than I do. I hadn't told Hazel about the pregnancy. Some secrets weren't mine to share. My phone lit up with a text from Piper. Stephen's here, asking about the new software. What should I say? I typed back, stick to the script, act confused, let him think he's in control. Hazel read over my shoulder. You're starting to enjoy this, aren't you? Enjoying? No. I put my phone away, but I'm done being the trusting wife who looks the other way. The kids know something's up. They're safer knowing part of the truth than none of it. I pushed my untouched pie away. Jeremy asked about divorce tonight. And I'm not ready to answer that question yet. First, I need to secure our future. Hazel reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Just be careful. Men like Stephen don't lose gracefully. Neither do I. I stood up, dropping cash on the table. I have a meeting tomorrow with someone from the SEC, anonymously, of course. The Securities and Exchange Commission? Tori, that's insurance. I pulled on my coat. Everything has to be done by the book. No shortcuts, no mistakes he can use against us later. Driving home, I passed the boutique. The lights were still on, Stephen's car parked out front. Once, that sight would have broken me. Now, it just strengthened my resolve. My phone buzzed with another text from Piper. He bought the Confusion Act, but he's asking more questions. We need to move faster. Patience, I wrote back. The best traps are the ones they walk into willingly, and Stephen was already halfway through the door. Your analysis of our market expansion potential is impressive, Tori, Gerard said, leaning back in his leather chair. As one of the city's most influential business figures, his corner office overlooked the same downtown street where Piper's boutique sat. The numbers speak for themselves, I replied, clicking through my presentation. The boutique's growth could support 3 new locations by spring. And your husband's comfortable with his wife managing his investment so thoroughly? I met Gerard's knowing look. Stephen trusts my expertise implicitly. Interesting. Gerard tapped his desk. Because my wife mentioned seeing him at LeBlanc last night with a younger companion. Not that it's my business. It's not, I agreed smoothly. But your interest in investing in the boutique's expansion is. Gerard smiled. Direct. I like that. He pulled out a contract. Let's discuss terms. An hour later, I walked through the boutique's front door. Piper was helping a customer, her small baby bump now visible under her flowing dress. Tori, she hurried over. How did it go with Gerard? He's in. $3 million in expansion capital, pending due diligence. Piper's eyes widened. That's more than we discussed, because I showed him the real books, not Stephen's creative accounting. I lowered my voice. How are you feeling? Morning sickness is better, but Stephen's getting suspicious about why I won't drink at business dinners. Keep making excuses. We're almost... Mom? Sophia's voice cut through the store. She stood in the doorway, still in her soccer uniform, staring at Piper's stomach. Oh my God. Sophia, wait. But she was already running out. I found her sitting on a bench around the corner, tears streaming down her face. That's her, isn't it? Dad's? And she's... I sat beside her. It's complicated. Stop saying that. Sophia exploded. Nothing's complicated. Dad cheated, got someone pregnant, and you're helping them? Why aren't you screaming or throwing his stuff out or... Because that's not how we win. Sophia wiped her eyes. Win what? Our future. Your college fund. The life we built that your father tried to steal. Understanding dawned in her eyes. The consulting work, the new investors. You're taking control of his investment? Smart girl. I smiled sadly. But this stays between us. Your brother already knows about the baby. Sophia pulled out her phone, showing me a social media post. Piper's sister announced it this morning, tagged her in ultrasound photos. My heart stopped. Does your father follow? No, but his law partner's daughter does. She just shared it. I was already calling Piper. Delete that post. Now, family or not, nothing goes public. I'm trying. Piper sounded panicked. My sister won't answer. Mom? Sophia touched my arm. I want to help. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She had my determination and her father's strategic mind. Maybe it was time to stop protecting her and start trusting her instead. Okay, I said, but we do this my way. That evening, I received an unexpected call from Caden, a rival consultant who'd been circling the boutique's success. Impressive work with Gerard, he said. Dinner tomorrow? Strictly professional, of course. Before I could answer, Stephen walked into my home office. Who's that? Potential investor, I said smoothly, then into the phone. Email me the details. Stephen perched on my desk. You're working late. The boutique's success requires attention. I met his eyes. Speaking of attention, Sophia mentioned seeing you at LeBlanc last night. Business dinner. Of course. I turned back to my laptop. How's Piper feeling these days? She seemed tired this morning. Stephen's pause was microscopic but telling. Wouldn't know. Haven't seen her much. Really? The social media post suggested otherwise. His face remained neutral, but his finger tapped the desk, his tell when lying in court. What post? Oh, never mind. Probably just gossip. I stretched, yawning. I should sleep. Big meeting tomorrow. After he left, Sophia slipped in. Dad's making calls in his study. Sounds angry. Good. I pulled up my email. How's your brother? Furious. Wants to confront Dad. Tell him not yet. I showed her Gerard's investment contract. First, we make sure your father can't touch any of this money. Then what? My phone buzzed. Caden again. Dinner's not just professional. I've admired your work for years, and from what I hear, you might be available soon. Sophia read the text over my shoulder. Mom, are you going to... Focus on one thing at a time, I said, but couldn't help smiling. Right now, we have work to do. Does it make us bad people? Sophia asked quietly. Playing these games? No, honey, I hugged her close. It makes us survivors. You look beautiful, Caden said as I slid into the booth at an upscale restaurant across town. That color suits you. This isn't a date, I reminded him, though I'd spent an hour choosing this dress. We're discussing the boutique's expansion. Of course, he smiled, sliding a folder across the table. But that doesn't mean I can't appreciate how the last month has changed you. You're glowing. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Jeremy, Dad's freaking out. Something about Piper not answering his calls. Everything okay? Caden asked. Family stuff. I typed back quickly. Stay in your room. I'll be home soon. Speaking of family, Caden leaned forward. How are your kids handling everything? Better than I expected. Sophia's become my unofficial assistant. And Jeremy? I paused as another text came through. Sophia. Piper's sister posted another ultrasound pic. Dad saw it. I'm sorry, I said, standing up. I need to go. Let me drive you, Caden offered, already signaling for the check. No, I can't. My phone rang. Steven. I have to take this. I answered outside the restaurant, Caden hovering concernedly nearby. Where are you? Steven's voice was cold, controlled. Working late. Why? Come home, now. We need to talk about your new business partnership with Piper. Steven. And maybe you can explain why my client just congratulated me on becoming a father again. My hands started shaking. Caden stepped closer, mouthing, Are you okay? I'll be home in 20 minutes, I said, and hung up. Let me help, Caden pleaded. You can't. I met his eyes. But thank you for everything. I broke every speed limit getting home. Sophia met me in the driveway. Dad's in his study, she whispered. He's been making calls, drinking. Jeremy locked himself in his room. Go to Hazel's house, I said, handing her my car keys. Take your brother, now. Mom, no. Sophia. I gripped her shoulders. Trust me, please. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll get Jeremy. I waited until I heard them leave through the garage before entering Steven's study. He sat behind his desk, a half-empty whiskey bottle beside him. Interesting investment strategy, he said without looking up, turning my mistress against me. Our investment, I corrected. My money, remember? Money I used to build something successful. He slammed his hand down. And you manipulated everything, got your hooks into Piper, brought in outside investors. Like you manipulated our savings, our marriage. That was different. Was it? I pulled out my phone, playing a recording. Steven's voice discussing offshore accounts, fake vendors, money laundering. His face went white. You recorded me? No, Piper did, months ago, before she knew what you really were. She wouldn't. She would. Especially after discovering you'd done this before. 3 other women, 3 other investments. All that money flowing through your little network of shell companies. Steven stood slowly. You have no proof. The SEC disagrees. They're very interested in those recordings, and the documents, and the witness statements. Witnesses? Your last investment partner from 2 years ago? She kept everything. Just needed someone to help her come forward. His lawyer mask cracked. You vindictive bitch. Careful, Steven. The security camera in here is running. Another thing you taught me. Always protect yourself. Our children are safe at Hazel's, away from whatever scene you're planning to make. He reached for his phone. I'll destroy you. Every client, every contact. Already handled. Gerard's firm is bringing me on as head consultant. Turns out he respects how I handled the boutique situation. Called it masterful asset recovery. Steven's hands trembled. What do you want? Everything. I placed a document on his desk. Sign over your interest in the boutique, full custody of the kids, a clean divorce. In exchange, I don't send these recordings to the Bar Association. You're bluffing. I pulled up an email draft addressed to the State Ethics Board. Try me. For a moment, I thought he might lunge across the desk. Instead, he grabbed a pen. I never thought you had this in you, he said, signing. That was your mistake. I collected the papers. The kids will collect their things tomorrow. Don't be here. And Piper, the baby? Not your concern anymore. She's found better lawyers than you. I left him there, surrounded by the ruins of his schemes. Outside, Caden waited in his car. The kids? He asked. Safe at Hazel's. I sank into the passenger seat. How did you know to come? Sophia called me, said you might need backup. I closed my eyes, exhausted. Take me to my children. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, I said. We start rebuilding, the right way this time. As we drove away, I didn't look back at the house where I'd spent 20 years being the perfect wife. Sometimes the best view is through the rearview mirror. The boutique's grand reopening drew quite a crowd. Local business leaders, fashion bloggers, and curious onlookers packed the expanded space. Nobody could resist a good comeback story, especially one with such juicy undertones. "Your mother is quite something," Gerard said to Sophia, who was helping at the checkout counter, taking a scandal and turning it into an empire. Sophia beamed. "She's teaching me everything she knows." I watched from the new mezzanine level as Piper, now visibly pregnant, guided visitors through the store. She'd found her calling not just in fashion, but in helping other women rebuild their lives. The boutique's back office now housed a small nonprofit offering business training to abuse survivors. "Quite a turnout," Caden said, appearing beside me with 2 glasses of champagne. "Though I noticed your ex-husband wasn't on the guest list. Steven's been preoccupied." I accepted the champagne. "The Bar Association's ethics investigation is keeping him busy." "Mom," Jeremy called from below, "Channel 7 wants an interview." Speaking of ethics investigations, Caden nodded toward the reporter setting up her camera. "Ready to go public?" I straightened my jacket. Truth is good for business, right? The interview started smoothly enough. Yes, the boutique had overcome initial management challenges. Yes, we were proud of our community impact. Then came the question we'd been waiting for. "Sources say your ex-husband used your life savings to fund this business for his mistress. Now you're partners with her. How did that happen?" I felt Sophia and Jeremy tense beside me. We'd practiced this moment. "Sometimes," I said carefully, "the greatest betrayals lead to unexpected alliances. This store isn't just about fashion, it's about women reclaiming their power." "And the rumors about financial irregularities are being investigated by the appropriate authorities." I smiled. "But today, we're celebrating growth, not dwelling on the past." The reporter pressed on. "Your ex-husband's law firm announced his leave of absence pending an ethics review. Any comment?" "Only that actions have consequences." I gestured to the busy store, "and that sometimes those consequences look like success." After the interview, Hazel pulled me aside. "Steven's outside." "What?" "In his car. Been there 20 minutes. I found him parked across the street, looking disheveled in his usually immaculate suit. "You can't be here," I said through his open window. "My name's still on some of the paperwork." His voice was rough. "The SEC is very interested in those papers. I know. That's why you're here, isn't it? Hoping to make a deal?" He gripped the steering wheel. "I could lose everything." "Funny how that works." I stepped back. "The kids are inside. They don't need to see you like this." "Tori, please." "Goodbye, Stephen." Inside, Piper was addressing the crowd, one hand on her belly. "This store represents second chances, not just for me, but for every woman who's ever been told her dreams are secondary to someone else's schemes." The applause was interrupted by a commotion at the door. 2 men in suits entered, badges visible. "Federal agents," one announced. "We need to speak with Stephen." "He just left," I said smoothly, "but I have something you might want to see." I led them to the office while Piper kept the crowd engaged. Sophia followed, carrying the files we'd prepared. "Everything's here," I told the agents. "Bank records, transfer documents, witness statements. We've been expecting you." "You knew this was coming?" Sophia asked after they left. "Let's just say the SEC isn't the only agency interested in your father's creative accounting." The rest of the event passed in a blur of congratulations and champagne. By closing time, only family remained, including Piper, who'd somehow become part of our strange new normal. "The agent said Dad might go to prison," Jeremy said quietly, helping me clean up. "That's up to him now." I hugged him close. "But we're going to be okay." "Better than okay," Sophia added. "We're going to be amazing." Caden appeared with takeout bags. Figured everyone might be hungry. As we gathered around the mezzanine tables, I looked at my unlikely family, my children, stronger for having faced hard truths, Piper, transformed from adversary to ally, Hazel, my constant support, and Caden, patient and understanding, letting me set the pace for whatever we were becoming. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Stephen's arrest. "Mom?" Sophia noticed my expression. "You okay?" "You know what?" I put the phone away. "I really am." "To new beginnings," Caden raised his glass. "And to karma," Piper added with a slight smile. "To family," I corrected, watching Jeremy actually laugh at something Sophia said. "Whatever form it takes." Outside, police lights flashed as they towed Stephen's abandoned car. But up here, surrounded by people who'd chosen truth over comfortable lies, I felt only peace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's world. It's about building your own, stronger than before, with people who deserve to be part of it. Guilty on all counts. Sophia squeezed my hand as the verdict echoed through the courtroom. Stephen stood motionless at the defense table, his expensive suit no longer able to mask what he truly was. "The defendant will be remanded into custody pending sentencing," the judge announced. As the bailiff approached, Stephen turned to look at us. For a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I'd once loved, before greed and ego had consumed him. Then he was gone, led away in handcuffs. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "How does it feel to see your ex-husband convicted? Any comment on the sentencing recommendations? Will the boutique survive the scandal?" Jeremy stepped forward, surprising everyone. "Our mom turned a betrayal into a business that helps people. That's the only story worth telling." In the car, Sophia scrolled through news alerts. "They're calling it the comeback of the year. The boutique's website is crashing from all the traffic." "People love redemption stories," I said, pulling into the store's parking lot. Speaking of which, Piper waited inside, her newborn daughter sleeping in a carrier. The store had become her sanctuary during the trial, a place where she could focus on building rather than destroying. "How did it go?" she asked softly. 8 to 12 years, Sophia answered, plus restitution. "Good." Piper adjusted her daughter's blanket. "Lucy deserves better than a con man for a father anyway." The store had transformed since that first confrontation. What started as one boutique had grown into a network of women-owned businesses, each with its own story of survival and reinvention. "The new mentorship program has 30 applications," Sophia reported, pulling up spreadsheets on her tablet. She'd inherited my head for business and her father's determination, but used those traits for better purposes. "Mom?" Jeremy called from the mezzanine. "Caden's here with the contracts." Caden had proven himself not just as a partner in business, but in life. He understood that trust had to be rebuilt slowly, that love was shown through actions rather than words. "The merger paperwork is ready," he said, spreading documents across the conference table. "Gerard's firm is officially combining with your consulting group, making you the largest business development consultancy in 3 states, Sophia added proudly. I signed where indicated, each signature cementing the future we'd fought to create. "There's something else," Caden said, pulling out a small box. "Not a ring, not yet, but a key to a future we could build together whenever you're ready." Before I could respond, Hazel burst in. "Turn on the news, now!" On the wall-mounted TV, Stephen's former law partner was being led out of his office in handcuffs. "Federal agents have uncovered a broader conspiracy," the reporter announced. "Multiple lawyers and business owners implicated in what prosecutors call a systematic fraud scheme." "Dad wasn't the mastermind?" Jeremy asked. "Just another pawn," I realized. Like he tried to make us. But we chose differently. Sophia said firmly. The store's bell chimed as customers entered, women drawn to more than just clothes. They came for the community we'd built, the strength we represented. Ms. Diaz? A young woman approached hesitantly. I read about your story. I'm in a similar situation. Could we talk? Of course. I gestured to the comfortable seating area we'd created for exactly this purpose. And please, call me Tori. As she shared her story, I saw my children spring into action. Sophia gathering resource materials, Jeremy making coffee, both of them showing what they'd learned about compassion and courage. Piper joined us, Lucy awake now and cooing. You know what helped me? Realizing that our worst moments don't define us. What we build from them does. The young woman wiped her eyes. I'm afraid of starting over. Don't think of it as starting over, I said. Think of it as starting stronger. Later, as we closed up, Caden helped Jeremy with inventory, while Sophia and Piper discussed next season's business plan. I held Lucy, marveling at how this child born of betrayal had become a symbol of renewal. You never answered about the key, Caden reminded me quietly. I looked around at my unconventional family, my fierce, loving children, Piper and Lucy finding their way, Hazel's unwavering friendship, and this patient man who'd shown me that love could be trustworthy. Yes, I said simply, but not because I need someone, because I choose someone. The setting sun painted the boutique in warm light, illuminating the sign we'd chosen together. Phoenix Rising, where every woman's story matters. Ready to go home? Sophia asked, gathering her things. Home. Not the house where I'd lived in comfortable denial, but the life we'd built from truth and determination. Actually, I smiled, taking Caden's hand. I think I'm already there. Sometimes the happiest endings don't erase the painful chapters. They transform them into something meaningful, something real, something worth fighting for.
The cream-colored envelope trembled in my hands as I read the gold-embossed text for the third time. Join us for the grand opening of Eloise, where culinary dreams come true. My name is Savannah, and I just discovered my husband named his new restaurant after his mistress. The invitation dropped from my fingers onto our marble kitchen counter, the same counter where Brian and I had spent countless nights planning this restaurant, our shared dream. The dream I'd emptied my savings account to fund. Sasha, I called my sister, my voice cracking. Did you know about this? About what? She picked up on the first ring. Sav, are you okay? The restaurant. He named it Eloise. I swallowed hard. Who names a restaurant Eloise? Oh, God. Sasha's sharp intake of breath told me she knew exactly who Eloise was. That blonde from the charity gala? The one who kept hanging around the kitchen? You knew? The betrayal stung twice as hard. I had suspicions, but I didn't want to. She paused. Want me to come over? Please. 20 minutes later, Sasha burst through my front door, holding a bottle of wine and wearing her signature, "Someone's about to get their ass kicked" expression. She found me sitting at the kitchen island, surrounded by bank statements and loan documents. Before we reveal what happens next, we wonder, do you think our protagonist is making the right choice? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, back to our unfolding situation. I gave him everything, I said, pushing a paper toward her. $300,000. My entire inheritance from Papa. Everything I saved working double shifts at that stupid diner. Sasha poured 2 generous glasses of wine. We'll fix this. We'll talk to a lawyer. No. I stood up, pacing the kitchen. That's not enough. He needs to feel what this feels like. To have everything you worked for turned into a joke, a monument to someone else's. Savannah, Sasha warned, revenge isn't... Wait. I stopped, picking up the invitation again. The opening's this Friday. They're expecting food critics from every major publication. So, a plan started forming in my mind. Remember Marcus, the food critic I dated last year? The pretentious one who wouldn't shut up about proper risotto technique? He taught me everything about being a critic. The terminology, the process, how to remain anonymous. I turned to Sasha, my heart racing. What if I went to the opening as a critic? Sasha's eyes widened. You can't be serious. I already have a pseudonym. I've been writing reviews for small publications under Victoria Stone for months now. It was supposed to be a hobby, but I pulled out my phone, showing Sasha my latest review. I have a following. People trust my opinion. Holy shit, Sasha whispered, scrolling through the comments. These are actually good, really good. One scathing review from me could tank his opening night. I took a deep breath. And I know every weakness in his cooking, every shortcut he takes when he's stressed. This is insane. Sasha set down her wine glass. But if we're doing this, we're doing it right. You can't look anything like yourself. For the next hour, we planned. Sasha, being a makeup artist, knew exactly how to transform me. We ordered a wig, colored contacts, and planned an outfit that screamed sophisticated food critic while being completely unlike anything in my usual wardrobe. What about your accent? Sasha asked. He'll recognize it. Victoria Stone speaks with a slight British accent, I said, slipping into the voice I'd practiced for months. Studied at Le Cordon Bleu Paris. Damn, sis. Sasha looked impressed. You've really thought this through. I had to have something that was just mine. I felt tears threatening again. While he was building his dream restaurant with my money and sleeping with his perfect blonde hostess, I was building this other life. I just never thought I'd use it like this. My phone buzzed. A text from Brian. Hey babe, sorry I'll be late again. Lots of prep for the opening. Don't wait up. I showed Sasha the message, and she cursed under her breath. Friday night, I said, deleting the message. Victoria Stone will have a front row seat to watch everything he built come crashing down. And the best part? I picked up the invitation, running my finger over the golden letters. He'll never know it was me. Just promise me one thing, Sasha said, gripping my hand. Promise you won't let this consume you. Get your revenge, but don't lose yourself in it. I nodded, but we both knew it was already too late for that. The moment I saw Eloise's name in gold lettering, something in me had shifted. The loving, supportive wife was gone, replaced by someone with nothing left to lose. Friday night, I repeated, raising my wine glass. To karma. Sasha clinked her glass against mine, but her eyes were worried. To karma. Just remember, sis, it works both ways. I smiled, but inside, my mind was already racing through every detail of my plan. Brian thought he could use my money to build a shrine to his mistress? Fine. I'd use everything he taught me to burn it all down. Stop fidgeting with the wig, Sasha hissed, slapping my hand away from my hairline. The adhesive needs another minute to set. Friday night had arrived faster than I'd expected. We were parked a block away from Eloise, and my stomach was doing somersaults. Run through the backstory again, Sasha demanded, adjusting my honey blonde wig one final time. Victoria Stone, 38, graduated Le Cordon Bleu Paris, I recited in my practiced British accent, currently writing for the Culinary Chronicle and 3 other publications, known for being fair but ruthless when standards aren't met. And if Brian comes to your table? I never speak directly to chefs during initial reviews. It compromises objectivity. I checked my reflection in the visor mirror, barely recognizing myself. The colored contacts turned my dark eyes a striking green, and Sasha's contouring had completely transformed my face structure. Your reservation is for 7, Sasha reminded me, checking her phone. That gives you 15 minutes to get in character. I pulled out my critic's notebook. Leather-bound, professional, exactly what Victoria Stone would carry. I still can't believe they accepted my last-minute reservation request. Are you kidding? Victoria Stone has over 50,000 followers. They probably bumped someone to fit you in. Sasha squeezed my hand. You sure you want to do this? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Brian. Big night tonight. Wish me luck. I showed it to Sasha, who rolled her eyes. The audacity of this man. Let's go. I stepped out of the car, smoothing down my charcoal designer dress, another purchase that had made my credit card scream. Walking toward the restaurant, I felt my confidence growing with each click of my heels. Victoria Stone didn't worry about betrayal or heartbreak. She worried about wine pairings and proper sauce consistency. The restaurant's exterior stopped me in my tracks. The signage was elegant, with Eloise written in flowing script that looked eerily similar to my own handwriting. Of course, Brian had used the design I'd sketched for him months ago, back when we thought the restaurant would carry my name. Good evening, the hostess greeted me. Not Eloise, thankfully. Do you have a reservation? Victoria Stone, I replied coolly, watching her eyes widen slightly. Ms. Stone, yes, of course. We've been expecting you. Right this way. She led me to a prime table with a clear view of both the kitchen and the dining room, perfect for observing everything and everyone. I'd barely settled in when I heard Brian's voice from the kitchen. Is she here? The critic? Just seated, chef. Table 12. Remember, I heard him tell his staff, everything has to be perfect tonight. This review could make or break us. If he only knew. A young server approached my table, her hands trembling slightly as she presented the wine list. Good evening, Ms. Stone. I'm Paisley, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Something in her nervous energy reminded me of myself years ago, when I was still waiting tables. I softened my critic's persona slightly. Thank you, Paisley. I'll start with a glass of the Chateau Margaux, 2015, if you have it. Excellent choice, she smiled, visibly relieved. And may I tell you about our specials? As she described each dish, I noticed how her eyes lit up when discussing the ingredients. This wasn't just a job for her, she had passion. Are you interested in cooking? I asked. Yes, she caught herself, lowering her voice. Actually, I'm in culinary school, working here to learn from Chef Brian, though he doesn't really... She trailed off. Doesn't really what? He doesn't let anyone but Samir, his sous chef near the main stations. Says we'll just mess things up. She shrugged. Anyway, I'll get your wine. I made a note in my book. Not about the food, about Paisley, about opportunities denied. The dining room slowly filled with other patrons, their excited chatter creating a pleasant buzz. Then suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. I looked up to see her walking in. Eloise. She was even more beautiful than I remembered from the gala. Tall, graceful, wearing a deep blue dress that made her look like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She moved through the restaurant like she owned it, which, in a way, she did. My hand tightened around my pen as she approached my table. Ms. Stone, she smiled warmly. I'm Eloise. Welcome to my restaurant. Your restaurant? I wanted to scream. I paid for every tile, every plate, every damn wine glass. Instead, I smiled Victoria's practiced smile. Charming space. The design is quite personal. Oh, yes, she beamed. Brian insisted on using these beautiful sketches his wife made. She's so talented, though I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet. My wine glass froze halfway to my lips. He used my designs, but told Eloise they were just some sketches from his wife. A wife she didn't even know? How interesting, I managed to say. I look forward to experiencing everything the restaurant has to offer. As Eloise walked away, I opened my notebook to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote a single word: betrayal. The review was about to get much more personal than I'd planned. The first course arrived, a delicate amuse-bouche that I recognized immediately. It was my grandmother's recipe, the one I'd taught Brian during our first year together. He'd modified it slightly, adding a modern twist, but the soul of the dish remained uniquely mine. The chef was inspired by traditional immigrant cuisine, Paisley explained, setting down the plate. He believes in honoring cultural heritage while elevating it to fine dining standards. My throat tightened. How fascinating. And whose heritage might this be? Before Paisley could answer, Eloise appeared again, this time helping an elderly woman to a nearby table. The gentleness in her movements caught me off guard. That's my grandmother, Paisley whispered, following my gaze. She's been sick, but Eloise drives her to chemotherapy every Tuesday. Won't let anyone else do it. I blinked, my perfectly crafted narrative suddenly developing cracks. That's unexpected. Oh, Eloise is amazing, Paisley continued. She's been teaching me about wine pairings after hours, and she even offered to help pay for my culinary classes when I was struggling with tuition. I wrote this down, though I wasn't sure why. It didn't fit with my revenge narrative. The villain in my story wasn't supposed to drive old ladies to chemo or mentor struggling students. Ms. Stone? Eloise approached my table again. I hope you don't mind, but I selected a special wine pairing for your next course. It's from a small vineyard in my hometown. Please sit, I heard myself say. Tell me about it. Eloise's face lit up as she slid into the chair across from me. It's a family vineyard, actually. My father planted those vines when I was little. We nearly lost everything during the recession, but we managed to save just enough vines to keep producing small batches. Is that what brought you into the restaurant business? I asked, genuinely curious now. Her smile faltered slightly. Actually, I never wanted to run a restaurant. I'm a sommelier by training. But Brian, he can be very persuasive when he wants something. I caught the edge in her voice, recognized it from my own experiences with Brian's persuasion. Does he often get what he wants? I kept my tone neutral, professional. Eloise glanced toward the kitchen, lowering her voice. He convinced me this place needed me, that I was essential to its success. But lately, she straightened suddenly, professional mask back in place. I'm sorry, I shouldn't burden you with this. No, please, I said, dropping Victoria's accent for a moment before catching myself. I mean, do continue. It adds context to the review. It's just... Eloise twisted her napkin. Have you ever felt trapped by someone else's dream? Like you're playing a role in a play you never auditioned for? The irony of her words hit me like a physical blow. Here I was, literally playing a role, while she spoke about feeling trapped in hers. A crash from the kitchen interrupted us. Brian's voice carried across the restaurant. Are you trying to ruin everything? Get out of my kitchen. A young line cook hurried out, fighting back tears. Eloise immediately stood, her instinct to comfort clearly visible. Excuse me, she said. I should... Of course. I watched as she intercepted the cook, leading her to a quiet corner. Their conversation was too far away to hear, but I saw Eloise pull out her phone, apparently taking down the cook's information. Paisley appeared with my next course. Eloise keeps a list, she explained, noticing my interest. Of all the staff, Brian... Well, she helps them find new jobs, better ones. How many are on this list? 12, just since I started 3 months ago. I added another note to my book, then crossed out the word betrayal at the top. Below it, I wrote, complicated. The kitchen doors swung open and Brian emerged, his chef's coat pristine despite the earlier chaos. He was heading toward my table, that familiar, charming smile on his face. Paisley, I said quickly, please inform the chef that I maintain strict anonymity during initial reviews. No exceptions. She nodded and intercepted him, delivering my message. I watched his face darken with frustration. He wasn't used to being denied anything he wanted. My phone buzzed. A text from Sasha. How's Operation Takedown going? I looked around the restaurant, at Eloise, still consoling the cook, at Paisley, who dreamed of being more than just a server, at the line cooks visible through the kitchen doors, all working under Brian's tyrannical perfectionism. Change of plans, I typed back. I think there's something bigger here than just revenge. What do you mean? I watched as Brian stormed back into the kitchen, shouting at another cook for some minor infraction. Eloise winced at the sound, her hand unconsciously touching her neck as if it were too tight. I came here to burn down his dream, I replied to Sasha, but I think I might need to save everyone trapped inside it first. The next course arrived, another of my family's recipes, transformed by Brian's touch. But this time, instead of anger, I felt something different, something like purpose. I picked up my pen and began to write. The main course arrived with a flourish, pan-seared sea bass with saffron risotto. My stomach clenched. It was the dish Brian had cooked the night he proposed. Back then, the risotto had been perfectly creamy. Tonight, I could see it was slightly overcooked, the rice grains breaking down from too much agitation. The chef is quite anxious about this dish, Paisley confided as she set it down. He's remade it 3 times. A deep voice behind me added, and thrown 2 pans across the kitchen in the process. I turned to find an older man in chef whites watching me with knowing eyes. His name tag read, Samir Sous Chef. Please, I gestured to the empty chair, maintaining Victoria's accent. Join me for a moment. Samir sat, his weathered hands folded on the table. The risotto isn't quite right, is it? You have a good eye. So do you. Savannah. My fork clattered against the plate. I'm sorry, you must be... I worked with your father for 15 years at his diner, Samir said quietly. You look different, but you stir your coffee the same way. 3 times clockwise, 1 counterclockwise, just like him. I felt my carefully constructed facade cracking. Please don't, I won't say anything, he assured me, but I have to ask, is this really what you want? Before I could answer, Brian's voice boomed from the kitchen again. Where the hell is my sous chef? These garnishes are garbage. Samir sighed. He wasn't always like this, you know. the pressure of opening this place, the investors breathing down his neck. The investors? I leaned forward. What investors? I funded everything. Samir's eyes widened slightly. He told everyone the money came from private investors, said his wife was supportive but not involved. Another crash from the kitchen made us both jump. Through the service window, I could see Brian berating a line cook over plate presentation. How do you stand it? I asked. I stay for them. Samir nodded toward the kitchen staff. Someone needs to buffer his temper, teach these kids properly. He paused, studying me. Your father did the same for me when I was starting out. A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. A food photographer had arrived, apparently scheduled by Brian without telling Eloise, and was demanding to rearrange tables for better lighting. Excuse me, Samir stood. Eloise looks like she needs backup. I watched as he smoothly intervened, his calm presence defusing the situation. The photographer backed down, and Eloise shot Samir a grateful look. My phone buzzed with another text from Sasha. Need an extraction? No, I replied, but I need you to look something up. Find out everything you can about the restaurant's investors. What investors? You paid for everything. Exactly. Paisley returned to check on me, her earlier nervousness replaced with genuine concern. Is everything okay with the food, Mrs. Stone? Chef Brian is very invested in your opinion. I looked at my plate, at the overcooked risotto, the slightly over-seared fish, the pretentious garnishes that added nothing to the dish. In his desperate attempt to impress, Brian had lost the soul of the cooking. Paisley, I said, if you were running this kitchen, what would you do differently? Her eyes lit up before she caught herself. Oh, I couldn't possibly. Please, I'm curious. Well, she glanced around before continuing in a whisper. I'd focus more on letting ingredients speak for themselves. Less foam and fancy garnishes, more honest cooking. And I'd actually teach the line cooks instead of just yelling at them. Like Samir does? Exactly. He's the only reason most of us haven't quit. He actually explains things, shows us techniques. Chef Brian just expects perfection without teaching how to achieve it. The kitchen doors burst open again as Brian emerged, his face flushed with either anger or wine. Probably both. He was heading toward my table again, determination in his stride. Paisley, I said quickly, the check please, and please remind the chef about my anonymity policy. But he insists no exceptions. As Paisley intercepted Brian, I watched his reaction. The way his face contorted with rage at being denied. The way both Eloise and Samir moved to contain the situation. It was like watching a carefully choreographed dance of damage control. I signed the check, adding a generous tip for Paisley, and gathered my things. But as I stood to leave, I caught Samir's eye across the room. He gave me a subtle nod that seemed to say both, I understand and be careful. Walking out, I heard Brian's voice one last time. If this review isn't perfect, someone's getting fired. I pulled out my phone and texted Sasha. I need your help with something bigger than a review. We need to find out where all his money is really coming from. Why? She replied. Because, I typed, looking back at the restaurant's gleaming facade. I think my husband is running a bigger con than just betraying his wife, and I'm going to expose every last bit of it. You need to see this, Sasha said, spreading documents across my kitchen counter the next morning. I had my friend at the bank look into things. There's not just your money in that restaurant. I picked up a paper, scanning the numbers. These deposits, they're huge. Where did he get this kind of cash? Keep reading. As I flipped through the documents, a pattern emerged. Multiple investors, all with suspiciously similar banking patterns. Large deposits followed by immediate withdrawals, leaving just enough to make everything look legitimate. He's laundering money, I whispered, using my investment to make it all look clean. It gets worse. Sasha pulled out her phone, showing me a series of social media posts. Remember how Eloise's family owns a vineyard? Look at the wine list from last night. I pulled out my critic's notebook, comparing the wines. They're all listed as being from her family's vineyard, but her family's vineyard went bankrupt 3 years ago. These wines? Sasha tapped the menu. They're fakes. Really good ones, but fakes. My hands started shaking. Does Eloise know? Based on what Samir told you about her teaching wine classes? No way. She's probably just as much a victim as a knock at the door cut her off. We frantically gathered the papers, shoving them into a drawer. I opened the door to find Samir standing there, still in his chef whites. May I come in? He asked. We need to talk. I ushered him inside, noticing how exhausted he looked. How did you find my address? Your father's old address book. He kept track of everyone he cared about. Samir sat heavily at my kitchen counter. I'm here because what you're doing, it's dangerous. What do you mean? The people Brian's involved with, they're not just restaurant investors. Last night, after you left, some men came to the restaurant, the kind that make you wish you hadn't seen their faces. Sasha pulled out her phone again. Did they look like these men? She showed him surveillance photos from the restaurant's opening night. Samir's face paled. Where did you get those? I'm a makeup artist for film productions, Sasha explained. I know people who know people. These guys, they're connected to some serious criminal organizations. Brian's in deep with them, Samir confirmed. But he's getting sloppy. The wine scam, the money laundering. It's only a matter of time before someone notices. Someone already has, I said. Me. That's why I'm here. Samir leaned forward. Your review could expose everything. But if you do that, it's not just Brian who suffers. The staff, Eloise, everyone who works there, they'll all be caught in the crossfire. My phone buzzed. A text from Brian. The critics' review posts tomorrow. Everything has to be perfect tonight, no mistakes. He's planning something for tonight, I said. Another wine tasting, probably. A big shipment came in this morning, Samir confirmed. They're bottling it in the basement right now. Sasha grabbed her laptop. Give me 20 minutes. I know someone who can test wine authenticity on site. No, I said, an idea forming. I have a better plan. I turned to Samir. How many of the staff know what's really going on? None. They suspect something's wrong, but they're too afraid to ask questions. And Eloise? She trusts Brian completely, or at least she did. Lately, I've seen her questioning things, especially after the incident with the line cook last night. I pulled out my critic's notebook, flipping to a fresh page. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Tonight, Victoria Stone is coming back for a follow-up visit, but this time she's bringing a wine expert. That's not standard procedure, Samir said. Neither is running a criminal enterprise out of my restaurant. I looked at Sasha. Can you make me look different enough that even someone who saw me yesterday wouldn't recognize me? Please, Sasha scoffed. That's amateur hour, but what's the real plan? I wrote down 3 names, Eloise, Paisley, Samir. We're not just exposing Brian, I explained. We're giving everyone trapped in his web a chance to escape. But first, we need evidence. The basement, Samir said suddenly. There's a hidden room where they keep the real records, but you'll never get in there during service. I won't have to, I smiled, because you're going to get me in there before service starts. Samir considered this for a long moment. If this goes wrong, it won't, I promised, though my heart was racing. But I need to know. Are you with us? He looked at the names I'd written down, then added a few more, other staff members who deserved better. Your father once told me that doing the right thing is rarely the easy thing, but it's always worth it. Then let's take him down, I said. Not just for revenge, but for justice. Sasha raised an eyebrow. You realize how cheesy that sounds, right? Shut up and help me plan. I checked the time. We have 6 hours until dinner service. Let's make them count. The health inspector usually checks the basement storage first, Samir explained as he led me through the dark corridor beneath the restaurant. So they keep everything looking perfect here. He pushed open a heavy door, but behind this wine rack, I helped him slide the rack aside, revealing another door cleverly disguised as part of the wall. The lock clicked open under Samir's key, and we stepped into a cramped room filled with boxes, ledgers, and winemaking equipment. They do the bottling here, he said, gesturing to a crude assembly line, late at night after everyone's gone. I snapped photos with my phone, making sure to capture the labels and serial numbers. And Eloise has no idea. They tell her it's all from her family's vineyard, special reserve batches that were saved before the bankruptcy. My phone buzzed. Sasha. In position upstairs. Brian just arrived? We need to move, I said, quickly photographing the ledgers. How long until service? 2 hours, but... Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Samir's eyes widened. Hide! I ducked behind a stack of boxes as the door swung open. Brian's voice filled the small space. The wine expert is coming tonight? With the critic? That's what the reservation said. The second voice was unfamiliar, rough. This could be a problem, Brian. It's fine. We'll serve them the real stuff. I have a few bottles set aside. And what about the other tables? We've got 40 cases of fake wine upstairs that need to move tonight. Just stick to the plan. No one can tell the difference anyway. These food critics just pretend. A crash from upstairs interrupted them. I heard Brian swear. Go check on that, he ordered. I need to review these numbers before service. One set of footsteps retreated. I held my breath as Brian moved around the room, muttering to himself. Through a gap in the boxes, I could see him pulling out ledgers, making adjustments. My phone vibrated silently. Another text from Sasha. Sorry about the crash. Needed a distraction. You okay? Before I could respond, the door opened again. Brian? It was Eloise's voice. What are you doing down here? Nothing, just inventory. In the wine room you told me was off limits? Her voice had an edge I hadn't heard before. I thought I saw... Never mind. But we need to talk about tonight. About everything, actually. Not now, Eloise. We have a critic coming. That's just it. I've been thinking about what that line cook said last night about the wine shipments. And I called my father. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. You did what? He said our vineyard hasn't produced anything in 3 years. So where is all this wine really coming from? You're confused. Brian's voice turned soothing, manipulative, a tone I knew too well. Your father's memory isn't what it used to be. Remember how he forgot about the reserve cellars? Stop lying to me. Eloise's voice cracked. I found the bottles, the fake labels. What are you involved in? Keep your voice down, Brian hissed. You don't understand what's at stake here. Then explain it to me. I can't. And if you know what's good for you, you'll drop this right now. The threat in his voice made me flinch. Through the gap, I saw him grab Eloise's arm. Let go of me, she said quietly. Promise me you'll keep quiet. Just for tonight. After the critics' review, things will be different. I'll explain everything. You're hurting me. Promise me. Another crash from upstairs, louder this time. Brian swore again. Go, he told Eloise. And remember, not a word. They left, the door slamming behind them. I waited 30 seconds before emerging from my hiding spot, hands shaking as I texted Sasha. Change of plans. We move tonight, during service. What happened? Eloise knows something's wrong. I'm worried about what Brian might do. Samir reappeared, looking shaken. I heard everything. We should call the police. Not yet, I said, showing him the photos I'd taken. We need to make sure everyone's safe first, and we need to prove where this wine is really coming from. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. The text made my blood run cold. Nice hiding spot. Meet me in the alley in 10 minutes if you want to help take him down. E. Eloise knows I'm here, I told Samir. She must have seen me. What are you going to do? I looked at the time. 90 minutes until service. Until Victoria Stone's grand return. But right now, Eloise needed Savannah. I'm going to tell her the truth, I said, heading for the door. All of it. Be careful, Samir called after me. Once you start this... I know, I turned back. There's no going back. But looking at the photos on my phone, the fake wines, the threatening grip on Eloise's arm, the ledgers full of laundered money, I knew there was no going back anyway. Tonight wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about setting everyone free. The alley behind the restaurant was dark except for a single security light. Eloise stood in its glow, arms crossed, her elegant posture at odds with our grimy surroundings. I know who you are, she said as I approached. You're his wife. I nodded, removing my wig. And you're the woman he named my restaurant after. Your restaurant? Her eyes widened. He said the money came from investors. The initial investment was mine, $300,000. I pulled out my phone, showing her the bank transfers. But apparently that was just the beginning. Eloise leaned against the wall, suddenly looking exhausted. I should have known. The wine, the mysterious meetings, the way he'd get so angry when I asked questions. She touched her arm where Brian had grabbed her. How long have you known? About the criminal activity, just since last night. About you and him, since I got the invitation with your name on it. I never wanted this, she said quietly. Any of it. He convinced me my family's vineyard could be saved if I helped him. said he'd restore everything my father lost. A door slammed somewhere above us. We both jumped. "We don't have much time," I said. "Service starts in an hour, and Victoria Stone has a reservation." "You're her, the critic?" "Yes. And tonight I'm bringing a wine expert, my sister Sasha. We can expose everything, but we need your help." Eloise straightened up. "What do you need me to do?" "Keep serving the fake wine. Act normal. But I need you to get me something from his office. The real ledgers. The ones that show where the money's really coming from." "I can't go in there. He'll know." "Chef needs you." Paisley's voice called from the back door. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt." "It's okay," I said. "Paisley, we need your help too." Her eyes darted between us. "Is this about the wine? Because I've noticed some weird things during inventory." "Get in here." Eloise pulled her into our huddle. "Quick version. Brian's running a criminal operation. We're taking him down tonight." Paisley barely blinked. "Finally, what's the plan?" Over the next 10 minutes, we outlined everything. Paisley would create a distraction in the kitchen while Eloise accessed Brian's office. I would return as Victoria Stone, with Sasha as my wine expert. "What about the other staff?" Paisley asked. "Some of them have been keeping notes, documenting things that seemed wrong." "Get them to Samir," I said. "He's gathering evidence." My phone buzzed. "Sasha. Police contact ready when you give the word." 1 hour, I told Eloise and Paisley. "Whatever happens, keep Brian in the dining room when I make my entrance. He needs to see everything fall apart publicly." "Why?" Eloise asked. "Because men like him care more about their reputation than anything else. His investors need to see him fail." Paisley's eyes lit up with understanding. "The investors are coming tonight, aren't they? That's why he's so stressed about the critic." "Exactly. And they're going to get quite a show." The back door opened again. Samir this time. "Brian's looking for both of you," he told Eloise and Paisley. "And he's not happy." "Go," I said. "Act normal. I'll see you in an hour." As they turned to leave, Eloise grabbed my arm. "Why are you helping me? After what I did?" "You didn't do anything. He did this to both of us." I managed a small smile. "Besides, my father always said the best revenge is living well and helping others do the same. Your father sounds wise." He was, and tonight we're going to make him proud. They disappeared inside, leaving me with Samir in the alley. "The staff is ready," he said. "Everyone knows their part." "And the evidence?" He patted his pocket. "All copied and safe, including some interesting photos of tonight's wine production setup." My phone buzzed again. Sasha sending the final confirmation. Hair, makeup, and disguise ready at my place. Time to transform Victoria Stone one last time. "This could go wrong in so many ways," Samir warned. "It could, but doing nothing would be worse." I checked the time. 45 minutes until the performance of a lifetime. "Break a leg," Samir smiled. "Or in this case, maybe break a wine glass." I headed towards Sasha's car, parked at the end of the alley, my mind already running through the evening ahead. The evidence gathering, the wine expert's damning analysis, the police waiting for my signal. But mostly, I thought about Eloise's face when she realized she'd been betrayed too. About Paisley's instant readiness to help. About all the staff members quietly documenting wrongs, waiting for a chance to make things right. My phone buzzed one final time. "Brian, can't wait to see you at home later. Tonight's going to be perfect." I didn't reply. Instead, I deleted his number and texted our growing group chat. "Places everyone. The show's about to begin." Tonight, Victoria Stone would write her last review. But more importantly, Savannah would finally reclaim her voice and help others find theirs too. "The 2019 Bordeaux," I announced loudly, swirling the wine in my glass as Brian hovered nearby, "has distinct notes of fraud." The dining room fell silent. At the investors' table, several men in expensive suits stopped mid-conversation. "I beg your pardon?" Brian's smile remained fixed, but his eyes darted nervously. Sasha, playing her role as wine expert perfectly, held her glass to the light. "This isn't a Bordeaux. In fact, it's not even French. Would you like to know what it actually is?" "There must be some mistake." Brian laughed, but sweat beaded on his forehead. "Perhaps we could discuss this privately?" "Oh, let's discuss it right here." I stood, dropping Victoria's accent. "Along with the fake labels in your basement, the money laundering ledgers, and the threats you made to keep everyone quiet." Recognition flickered across his face. Savannah? Surprise, honey. The investors started to rise, but Eloise appeared at the dining room entrance with 2 police officers. More officers filtered in through the kitchen. The wine's not the only thing that's fake, Eloise announced, holding up a stack of documents. These ledgers show everything. The money laundering, the counterfeiting operation, the threats. Brian lunged for the papers, but Samir stepped between them. Behind him, the kitchen staff emerged, led by Paisley, each carrying their own evidence, photos, notes, recordings. It's over, I said quietly. Every bottle, every threat, every lie. We have proof of all of it. You don't understand, Brian pleaded, turning to the investors. I can explain. Save it for your lawyer, one of the investors growled, already dialing his phone. As the police moved in, reading rights and applying handcuffs, I watched my husband's carefully constructed world crumble. The charming smile disappeared, replaced by something ugly and desperate. You'll regret this, he spat at me. All of you will. Actually, Paisley stepped forward, phone in hand. We got that threat on video too. The officers led him away, followed by several angry investors in handcuffs. The remaining diners sat in stunned silence. Ladies and gentlemen, Eloise addressed the room, her voice steady. Due to tonight's events, your meals are complimentary, but please stay. The kitchen is now under new management. She gestured to Samir, who nodded. Tonight's menu will be slightly different. We're going back to basics, honest food, made with respect and integrity. And real wine, Sasha added with a wink. The dining room gradually returned to life, the drama transforming into the kind of story people would tell for years. In the kitchen, I watched Samir and Paisley work side by side, creating dishes that needed no pretense. So, Eloise joined me at the bar. What happens now? Well, I still own this place, I said, but I think it needs a new name, a new management. She raised an eyebrow. What did you have in mind? How about a partnership? You handle the wine program, legitimately this time. Samir runs the kitchen with Paisley as his sous chef. Real food, real wine, real people. And you? I pulled out my critic's notebook one last time. I write one final review. Not about the food or wine, but about redemption. About people finding their voice and their strength. Speaking of strength, Sasha called from the door. The detective wants statements from everyone. But first, she held up her phone, showing a news alert. Your review just went live. I looked at the headline. Acclaimed critic exposes criminal enterprise masquerading as fine dining. Below, it was a smaller headline. Local restaurant staff hailed as heroes for speaking out. You didn't mention yourself, Eloise noted, reading over my shoulder. Victoria Stone's work is done, I said. It's time for Savannah to start something new. The kitchen doors swung open as Samir emerged with a plate. First dish from the new menu, he announced. My mother's recipe, with a twist from Paisley. We gathered around the dish, staff, police, even some curious diners. The aroma brought tears to my eyes. It was simple, honest, perfect. To new beginnings, Eloise raised her glass, filled with wine from a small local vineyard we'd found together. To finding our voices, Paisley added. To family, Samir smiled, chosen and created. I looked around at these people who had become more than allies. They were partners, friends, family. We'd turned a story of betrayal into one of triumph, not through revenge, but through unity and truth. To us, I said, raising my glass, and to making something real. As conversations and laughter filled the room, I sent one final text to the group chat we'd created. Same time tomorrow, we have a restaurant to rebuild. The responses came instantly. Thumbs up, heart emojis, excited yes messages. I smiled, put away my phone, and joined my new family at the table. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's creating something better from the ashes of what was lost. And sometimes it's as simple as sharing an honest meal with people who remind you who you really are.